There is no time left to hesitate, my child. What I must tell you is not something you can afford to put off or set aside for later. Too much has been building beneath the surface. Too many unseen forces have been shifting around you, and the window I am opening will not remain open forever. I am calling your spirit into a moment of divine alertness, because something is happening that only those fully locked into my voice will understand. You have felt the pressure, the discomfort, the strange uneasiness that has no name, and now I will explain it. I have been watching you move through days that were meant to bring joy, yet your heart has been gripped with heaviness and uncertainty. That is not random. It is not coincidence. It is not just life being hard. This is a spiritual alert. The distractions that have clouded your mind have not just taken your time, they've redirected your gaze. And now, in this moment, I am cutting through all of it. Listen carefully. Something that was forming in the darkness has reached its final stage, and I will not allow it to advance unless I have your undivided attention. This is not a test. This is the moment where I step into your path with holy interruption, demanding every part of you to pause and hear what I am saying, not because I am angry, but because I am rescuing. There is no substitute for obedience right now. I do not want partial focus, temporary devotion, or 1-minute prayers scattered through your day. I want full surrender, because only full surrender will bring the clarity and power you need to survive what's coming next. The spiritual attacks you've been enduring weren't because you were weak, they were because you were on the edge of transformation, and the enemy is terrified of who you are about to become. But if he can't stop you with hardship, he will distract you with busyness. If he can't make you fall with lies, he will try to blur your sight with noise. And if he can't destroy you outwardly, he will tempt you to look everywhere but up. That is why I am pressing into you so urgently, so fiercely, so suddenly. I'm breaking through your ordinary moment with a divine disruption because the enemy has seen what's written on your timeline, and he's trying to block it before you step into it. Don't let him. Don't scroll past this. Don't silence this tug in your chest. This is not just another word. This is the one that brings you out of danger. You've been moving on autopilot, but I'm switching you back to divine manual control, where every move you make is based on my direction. Yes, it feels uncomfortable. Yes, it may even seem dramatic. But the warfare against you has not been casual, and so neither can be your response. There is something I need to show you, something that will make the chaos make sense. But I cannot reveal it while your focus is divided. My child, the light I am sending can only reach the place where your eyes are turned toward me. And until now, too many other things have held your attention, things that seemed urgent, but were never eternal. But this, what I'm saying to you right now, is not about urgency alone. It's about destiny. It's about making sure you're not 3 steps behind when the floodgates of breakthrough open. It's about putting you in position so that when I release what I promised, you are standing exactly where you need to be. So drop everything for just a moment. Turn down every voice but mine. The noise will still be there when I'm finished speaking, but what I'm about to say will prepare you to walk through it untouched. Listen now. Stay here. Focus. Your soul has been stretched by competing voices, obligations, and decisions that constantly shift your gaze and pull your spirit away from stillness. I've watched you chase after moments that promised relief, but only left you emptier than before. Your heart has been torn between what you think you must do and what your spirit is crying out for. And now I am standing in the middle of that noise, not to add to it but to silence it. I am not asking you to figure everything out right now. I am calling you to recenter your heart where it belongs. The pull of this world has tangled itself around your schedule, your mind, and even your confidence. It has scattered your clarity and replaced it with confusion dressed as progress. But I am not in the rush. I am in the return. You keep wondering why peace seems to slip through your fingers, why rest feels foreign, why joy doesn't linger, and this is why. You've drifted out of alignment with the source. It wasn't intentional. You didn't run from me. But slow compromise, delayed prayers, and small choices have loosened the grip between us. And now I'm reaching out not to scold you, but to reattach your spirit to what's real. Come back into rhythm with my heartbeat. Let me recalibrate what's been off. When you are misaligned with me, even your strengths become burdens, and even your gifts feel like pressure. But in alignment, your spirit breathes again. Your discernment sharpens. Your confidence steadies. Your steps gain momentum not because you're striving, but because you're walking in flow with the one who wrote your story. You're not too far gone. You're not beyond repair. But you must recognize the drift and make the turn now. Delay breeds distortion. And the longer you operate outside of divine alignment, the easier it becomes for confusion to disguise itself as opportunity. The enemy is subtle. He doesn't always attack your faith with fear. Sometimes he attacks it with distraction. And right now, you are surrounded by things that look harmless but are slowly starving your connection to me. That's why I'm issuing this spiritual recall. I'm summoning every scattered part of your soul to return to its anchor. I'm calling your mind out of the fog. I'm drawing your heart away from the artificial and back to the authentic. There is something I'm about to release that can only be received by those who are aligned not halfway, not occasionally, but fully positioned in trust and attention. This isn't about performance. It's about presence. You can't hear me clearly when your life is tuned to frequencies I never set. And if you keep aligning with expectations that I never placed on you, you will live in cycles of pressure that wear down your strength. But if you align with me now, I will show you the way forward, not just the next step, but the full path I've been preparing behind the scenes. I will give you clarity so sharp that it will cut through every fog of doubt. But first, you must return. Return in your thoughts. Return in your attention. Return in your hunger for me. I've been waiting. And this moment right now, this very second, is saturated with the invitation to reconnect. Drop the false weights. Let go of what you pick up in panic. Stop running with the momentum of fear. I want to place your feet back on the path of divine stability, where your vision is clear and your spirit is refreshed. Listen, I'm not far. I never was. But today, I'm realigning your spirit with mine because what's ahead requires full connection. Your future is too important to continue living disjointed. Let me bring you back into divine order. Don't resist. Opoko. Just yield and I'll handle the reset from here. Right now, while everything on the surface seems ordinary, something beneath is stirring with great urgency. There's a movement behind the veil unseen, but not inactive. What appears calm in your atmosphere may actually be a battleground in the invisible realm. And I need you spiritually awake to detect it. You don't have to be afraid, but you must not be numb. What I am allowing in this moment isn't random, it's coordinated, deliberate, and critical to your preparation. This is not the time to sleep through spiritual shifts. You've been asking for clarity, for direction, for release. But what you may not realize is that I'm already setting it in motion. You won't notice it with natural senses. It requires a sharpened discernment, a heightened awareness, a tuned heart that won't dismiss what feels unusual. There are divine alignments forming, but at the same time, dark oppositions are trying to intercept. I've dispatched angelic protection, and yes, it's already surrounding you, but I need your spirit to stay in sync with me so that no foothold is given to confusion. There are whispers being planted around you, distractions packaged as good things, and even voices pretending to speak truth, but they are not from me. This is why I must pull your attention inward, into the chamber of stillness, where my voice becomes unmistakable. If you try to understand everything through logic, you'll miss the signals I'm sending through your spirit. I don't always speak with thunder. Sometimes my clearest warnings come as discomfort, tension, or restlessness as you can't explain. These are not accidents, they are alerts. I allow those stirring so you don't sleep through divine moments. You've been wondering why you feel unsettled even when everything looks stable. This is why. You're perceiving a tremble in the atmosphere, because something from heaven is being lowered into your life. And I need you to be ready to catch it. They won't come with loud announcements. It will pass quietly over those who are too distracted to receive it. But for those who are watching, listening, and present, it will land directly into their spirit and shift everything. So, I urge you, be sensitive. Take nothing for granted in this hour. Even the smallest decisions matter. The timing of your responses, the posture of your heart, the things you allow near your mind, they all carry weight now. You are stepping into sacred territory, and the spiritual climate around you is reflecting that reality. Just because others can't see it doesn't mean it's not real. Just because you can't fully define it doesn't mean it's not urgent. I don't need you to explain it to everyone, I need you to obey it. And obedience begins with focus. Stay alert to nudges. Pay attention to patterns. Don't ignore that inner hesitation when something feels off. I am refining your spiritual sensitivity, because what's coming next is not something you can prepare for with old habits. I am doing something fresh, and I'm inviting you into it before it manifests. You may feel isolated, but that's not rejection, it's insulation. I'm protecting you from premature exposure to things that would damage your ability to hear clearly. I need your ears reserved for me alone. This isn't the time to entertain every opinion, chase every opportunity, or engage in every battle. Pick your focus wisely. If you focus on me, I will reveal things to you that others will only understand after they've passed. I'm giving you advanced sight, spiritual pre-warning, and inside access to the shift that's unfolding. But you must be present, fully present. No more half listening, no more distracted watching. Your spiritual posture in this hour will determine your positioning in the next season. Keep your spirit open, your attention sacred, your time guarded. I will not allow the enemy to catch you off guard, but I need you listening as I lead you into what eyes have not seen and ears have not yet heard. What's approaching you is not ordinary. This is a turning point that carries generational impact. This moment is layered with significance that stretches far beyond your immediate needs. You've been praying for transformation, crying out for breakthrough, asking me to reroute what's been delayed, but now the response is unfolding. It won't look the way you imagine, and won't come through familiar doors. It will announce itself with certainty. This divine turn is subtle, but it holds irreversible weight. I need you watching, really watching. Every single movement from here has consequence. If you're looking at me, I'll guide you with precision. If your gaze shifts to circumstances or emotions, you must read what's unfolding and take the wrong step. You've stood on the edge of this opportunity before, but doubt distracted you, and confusion pulled you sideways. I'm giving you another window, a holy intersection of timing, obedience, and faith. The atmosphere is pregnant with possibility, but it requires alignment. You cannot take the next step based on how things feel. You must move based on how I lead. Don't rely on what worked last time. This pathway has never been walked before, not by you, not like this. I'm forging a new trail, and only those whose eyes are locked on me will recognize where to step. I don't want you to panic. I don't want you to strive. I want you still, quiet, and focused. The shift isn't just around you, it's within you. I'm changing how you hear. I'm deepening your insight. I'm awakening your spirit to dimensions that were once beyond your reach. This is why things around you have felt tight, strange, unsettled. You're being upgraded internally so you can carry what's ahead without breaking under its weight. You must understand this. I'm not simply answering your requests. I'm responding to your purpose. This is why I've delayed some things, because purpose always arrives at the perfect moment. And now, that moment is near. But it won't just come to you, you'll have to walk into it. And to walk in, your focus must be fierce. You cannot afford to be swayed by opinions, sidetracked by fear, or pulled backward by regrets. Fix your attention forward. Fix it on me. I'm moving ahead of you, illuminating each next decision, even if it's only one step at a time. You may not see the full picture, but if you keep your eyes where I am, you'll never lose your way. There's a temptation right now to look sideways, to compare your journey, to measure your progress against others. Don't do it. Their race is not yours. Their pace has no bearing on your destiny. This chapter requires tunnel vision, one direction, one voice, one source. You'll know what to do not by logic, but by peace. Not the peace that comes from understanding, but the peace that goes deeper than reason, a stillness birthed from presence. Keep returning to that stillness. I'm in that place. I'll give you signs, but only if you're still enough to notice. I'll open doors, but only if you're alert enough to step through when they appear. Don't miss what I'm orchestrating simply because your attention drifted. This isn't just about a blessing, it's about your destiny unfolding. You are not stepping into another season. You are stepping into design, into blueprint, into divine architecture that's been hidden until now. You don't need all the answers. You just need accurate focus. I'll take care of the rest. So steady yourself. Shake off the residue of yesterday's confusion. Wipe away the fog of distraction. And keep your eyes where they belong, on me, the one who goes before you, the one who never fails, the one who is making all things new right now, even as you breathe. There is a reason your mind feels more crowded lately, like there's always noise, even when it's quiet around you. The enemy has carefully laid traps, not to destroy you in obvious ways, but to slowly disconnect you from my whisper. The most dangerous attack is the one that comes dressed as normal, something harmless, something small, something you think you can manage. But little by little, it becomes louder than my presence. It's not just your attention that's under siege, it's your ability to recognize what I'm doing. I've been showing up in moments you've overlooked, speaking through signs you've dismissed, moving through details you thought were random. But the distractions have clouded your clarity. I'm not condemning you, I'm uncovering what's been slowing your momentum. Every scroll, every overcommitment, every unnecessary conversation that leaves you drained, it all piles up. It builds a wall between your spirit and my leading. You've been wondering why direction feels foggy, why prayer feels distant, why peace slips through your fingers. It's not because I've gone silent. It's because too many other voices are fighting for the same space in your heart. I need to reclaim that space. I need your inner room cleared out. You don't need more information, you need purification of focus. This is a sacred season, and sacred seasons require sacred boundaries. Guard what enters your atmosphere. Protect the gates of your ears, your eyes, your thoughts. The enemy isn't after your possessions, he's after your perspective. He knows that if he can cloud your view, he can delay your obedience. And every delayed act of faith becomes a foothold for doubt. But I'm stepping in now, cutting through the spiritual static, and calling you back to clarity. You're not powerless here. You have authority to silence what doesn't belong. You don't have to entertain what exhausts you. Not everything deserves a response. Not every opportunity deserves your energy. You're not missing out, you're being preserved. This is not about saying no to the world. It's about saying yes to your calling. I'm asking for more not because I want to overwhelm you, but because I want to empty your life of what's been draining your divine strength. I'm not in the chaos. I'm not in the endless performing. I'm in the still space you've been too busy to visit. The sacred space is where clarity returns, where joy resurfaces, where boldness grows. Don't keep waiting for an external confirmation when I've already been prompting your spirit. I'm not just calling you away from noise, I'm drawing you into a secret place that resets everything. You don't need to fight distractions in your own strength. Just come closer. I'm quickly. Every time you choose stillness over stimulation, your spirit sharpens. Every time you turn your face toward me, the fog lifts. This isn't about rules, it's about rescue. I see how much you've carried. I see how tired your soul is from trying to manage everything. That's why I'm speaking now with urgency. The longer you delay refocusing, the harder it becomes to hear me clearly. And I refuse to let you miss what's about to arrive. What I have for you is weighty. It's sacred. And it cannot be delivered into distracted hands. You must be alert, fully engaged, fully surrendered. Let me simplify what's been tangled. Let me sort what's been pulling at you from all sides. I'm not far, I'm just waiting for you to silence the unnecessary so that what matters most can finally be heard. I've already cleared the path ahead, but you must first clear the space within. Focus is no longer optional. It is your spiritual lifeline in this moment. There are seasons where I gently nudge your spirit, where I softly guide with quiet impressions. But this is not one of those seasons. This is a divine alarm, a sacred interruption. I am raising my voice not in anger, but in deep compassion, because you are standing at a crossing that requires your immediate awareness. If I allowed the whispers to continue, you might miss the urgency. So now I speak with weight, not to frighten you, but to awaken what's been slumbering. The delay in your response is no longer safe. There are assignments being released that require your full cooperation. There are souls connected to your obedience. There are movements in heaven aligned with your availability. And this hour is too crucial for hesitation. I've watched you linger in indecision, wrestling with comfort and calling. I've waited patiently as you tried to navigate the tension between convenience and conviction. But the time for choosing has arrived. What I placed inside you was never meant to sit dormant. The gifts, the wisdom, the fire, they are being stirred because activation is no longer optional. You cannot delay destiny without consequences. Not because I punish, but because timing is holy. And what I want to accomplish through you is set to a schedule that must be honored. My spirit is intensifying in your atmosphere for a reason. This pressure you feel isn't confusion, it's the hand of heaven pressing gently but firmly against your resistance. I'm not here to take something from you. I'm here to awaken what's already yours. But it requires full participation. This is why old distractions no longer satisfy. Why routines that once felt safe now seem suffocating. I am stripping away what numbs you. I am confronting the excuses that have justified delay. Because the harvest is ripe, and the laborers must move now. I am not demanding perfection. I am requesting presence. I don't need you to be flawless, I need you to be fully available. Your yes has power. Your agreement with heaven shifts atmospheres. But when you ignore the urgency, you invite confusion. And when confusion settles in, you begin to doubt what I never intended you to question. That's why I'm breaking silence with fire. That's why I'm confronting comfort with calling. I'm not letting you settle when I see what's ahead. You may not know the full picture, but I do. I see what's coming. I see what's preparing to crash against this world. And I've chosen you as a light within the shaking. That light must be tended, protected, and released. But it starts with your undivided attention. The voices around you may not understand. They may try to water down what I've placed within you. But don't let their fear shrink your fire. I am marking you now, not for a distant future, but for a present assignment. Listen, there is a door opening, and it will not remain open forever. If you hesitate too long, it will close, and the next season will require a different process. This is your appointed window, a moment carved out in divine time where heaven meets your availability. So don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait for perfect circumstances. Don't wait until everyone agrees. I've already equipped you. I've already surrounded you with what you need. The next move is yours. Will you respond to the shout that came from my heart? Will you drop what doesn't matter and chase what I'm unveiling? This is not just a calling, it's a rescue, a recalibration, a heavenly reroute pulling you out of delay and back into design. The time is short. The moment is weighty. I am here. I am speaking. And I won't stop until your spirit fully hears. Right now, what heaven has released in your direction is hovering, waiting for you to come into position. It's not being withheld, it's being protected until you're aligned to carry it without collapse. But if you continue to ignore the prompting, if you push aside the urgency in your spirit, that blessing will pass by unreceived, not because I took it back, but because your focus couldn't catch what was flying in. I don't want you to miss what was handcrafted for your name. I don't want to see you sidestepped by your own delay. I've orchestrated things behind the scenes, rearranged circumstances, softened hearts, opened paths you never saw coming, and all of it was pointing to this very moment. But moments are sensitive. They carry weight, but they also require movement. There is no room for passivity when divine timing arrives. And this is divine timing. This isn't about fear, it's about precision. I know exactly what you need, and I've already assigned it. But distractions blur the doorway. Indecision blocks the release. And hesitation has stolen too many breakthroughs already. I'm not condemning you for the pauses. I'm calling you out of them. I'm showing you how close you are to something sacred, so close that the atmosphere around you has begun to shift. Pay attention to the changes. The tension you feel isn't punishment, it's prayer to prepare. You've been sensing discomfort because you're no longer allowed to stay where you've been. I'm uprooting what's outlived its season. The conversations, habits, and routines that once gave you security are now being shaken, not to harm you, but to make room for what's next. I'm not here to rearrange your comfort. I'm here to establish your calling. But that calling won't chase you down. You must rise and meet it. My child, there's a specific word I've placed in your spirit recently, one that came like a whisper in the night or a thought you couldn't shake. That was me planting a seed. But if you do not tend it with obedience, it cannot bear fruit. The longer you wait, the harder the ground becomes. And I will not pour new rain onto soil that refuses to yield. This is the window. This is the second you've unknowingly been praying for. I'm speaking clearly because there's no more room for delay disguised as preparation. You don't need another confirmation. You don't need another sign. The next move isn't about revelation, it's about response. If you turn your eyes away now, you won't see the door I've cracked open just for you. And if you keep walking in circles, you'll lose the momentum I've been building beneath your feet. I'm not trying to rush you, I'm trying to deliver what's already been dispatched. But delivery requires your location to remain fixed. You can't keep shifting your spiritual address and expect the blessing to land on target. Be still and stay locked in. The wind of my spirit is blowing, and if your hands are open, I'll place something eternal in them. I won't force you. I won't drag you. But I will keep calling until you understand this. What you are about to walk into is not common. It is rare. It is personal. It is irreversible once embraced. But if missed, it will take another cycle to come back around. I'm not closing the door, I'm holding it open. But your hand must reach for the handle. Your heart must lean forward. Your voice must say yes. I've never been this close. Your turning point is here. Let nothing pull you away from it. I did not step into your moment to merely offer advice or give soft encouragement. I am not entering lightly. I am here with divine force, not to disrupt your peace, but to interrupt the pattern that's slowly pulling you off course. This is not about preference, it's about protection. I'm not nudging you for inspiration. I'm intervening to rescue you from what you didn't even realize was forming around you. There are traps being laid in your blind spots, snares dressed in opportunity, cleverly disguised as blessings, but poisoned with compromise. That's why I have broken through the rhythm of your normal to pull you back before you enter something not built for your spirit. You may have thought everything was fine, steady, controllable. But what's been building behind the curtain is deeper than what your eyes can detect. I see what's waiting at the end of decisions you were about to make. I see the consequences chained to choices that appear harmless. And in my mercy, I'm interrupting you now not to limit your freedom, but to preserve your purpose. I don't interrupt unless something critical is at stake. And right now, it is. This is a rescue mission, not a routine visit. This moment, this word, this divine stop, it is evidence that I have no intention of letting you drift further. The enemy wants to cloak this interruption in guilt or annoyance, as if I'm somehow ruining your momentum. But that momentum you felt wasn't leading you into promise. It was slowly guiding you into entanglement. I'm cutting through it now. You may feel tension. You may feel confusion. But that's because two roads are tugging at your feet and I'm standing between them, pointing to the one that will not leave you empty. I'm not forcing you, but I am confronting everything that's been lying to you about what you need. You've convinced yourself that you can carry both your way and my way. But now, the paths are dividing, and I am making it clear which one leads to life. The space you've been occupying cannot hold what I'm about to release. The old container is too small. The old environment too noisy. That's why I'm separating you. That's why the familiar suddenly feels foreign. I'm not punishing you, I'm pulling you out. The same routine that once kept you comfortable is now the very thing suffocating your growth. I'm shifting your scenery, not for chaos, but for clarity. You needed this divine pause before you walked into a version of yourself I never authored. You needed this course correction before you got too far down a road paved in good intentions, but empty of my power. This interruption is your lifeline, and if you embrace it, what comes next will not look like delay but deliverance. I will show you that the pause was not punishment, it was placement. You are being repositioned for precision. What you thought was an inconvenience is actually a door swinging open to a new rhythm of purpose. But it starts here with surrender, with listening, with returning to the altar of awareness. Stop questioning why I halted your steps. Start thanking me for not letting you continue towards something that would have drained your soul. I am not here to complicate your life, I am here to rescue your destiny from being diluted by distraction. Let me interrupt what's been stealing your focus. Let me intervene before you build something I cannot bless. I'm not interested in appearances, I'm interested in alignment. And today, I call you back not because you failed, but because you are far too important to continue walking unaware of what you're about to enter. Open your heart to me fully. This isn't a passing thought, it's a holy rescue. Reach out and let me pull you in. I see beneath the surface of your strength. I know the quiet weight you've been carrying, the questions you hide behind smiles, the unrest you disguise as being busy or fine. You've told no one how close you've come to breaking. You've masked your weariness behind the mask of being needed by everyone else. But I have seen it all. I know what burdens have settled inside you like stones, unshaken, unspoken, but heavy enough to alter your stride. And now, I want to meet you at the exact point of that hidden exhaustion. You don't need to pretend with me. I already see the pressure you haven't been able to explain. You've wondered why you wake up tired, why your mind won't settle, why peace seems to slip through your fingers even when you try everything to hold on to it. It's because you've been fighting battles that aren't yours to win alone. You've been searching for exits in every direction: logic, distraction, routine, even good intentions. But there's only one door that leads out, and I am that door. I'm not asking for grand gestures or public declarations, I'm asking you to look at me. Not glance, not nod, but fix your gaze like your life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. When you lock eyes with me, every lie starts to lose its grip. When your attention returns to my face, your internal compass begins to correct itself. You've been navigating my noise for too long. Now, it's time to be led by presence. I will not lead you with pressure, I will lead you with peace. I will not pull you with fear, I will draw you with truth. But you must be willing to lift your head from the storm long enough to see where I stand. I've never left your side, but when your focus drifts, my voice feels distant. Not because I stepped back, but because your attention walked away. And this struggle you've been wrestling with, it's not meant to define you. It's meant to drive you back into deeper surrender. I don't waste pain. I redeem it. But I can only redeem what you release into my hands. So stop gripping what's wounding you. You don't need to fix it before coming closer. You don't need to understand it all to be guiding. You just need to bring it to me raw, unfiltered, even messy, and place it before my eyes. You'll find I'm not afraid of your uncertainty. I'm not disappointed in your questions. I welcome your truth. I respond to your real. If you knew how near I am, you'd stop doubting whether I care. I am closer than the anxiety, louder than the shame, stronger than the fear. I've already mapped a path of escape, but it cannot be found by staring at your surroundings. It can only be revealed when your attention is fixed on me. That's when I begin to unlock things. That's when the bird lightens. That's when the atmosphere changes, not always instantly, but always definitely. When you look at me, you gain a perspective that no news, no voice, no situation can distort. The chaos doesn't disappear, but it loses its power. You begin to remember that I'm not just watching you, I'm with you, actively arranging a way forward. Don't look down anymore. Don't analyze the waves. Don't count how far you sunk. Just find my eyes again. My gaze carries power. My face radiates peace. My expression holds mercy. You are not too late. You haven't missed your moment. I never stopped reaching. I only waited for you to stop running. Let this be the moment you return your full attention to me. Because once your focus is mine again, I can begin leading you out, not with pressure, but with purpose. Let's walk out of this together. You felt the tension in the air, the shift that words cannot explain. Your spirit has picked up on what your mind hasn't yet defined. Its sense of pressure, of something closing in, of invisible weight gathering around you. It's not your imagination. There is spiritual turbulence on the horizon, and I'm not revealing this to create panic, but to extend shelter. I'm not warning you to frighten you, I'm inviting you into the only place where the winds cannot harm you. The storm is not sent by me, but I will use it to drive you closer. Not every threat is visible. Not every danger comes with sound. But I see it before it fully forms. I see the plans being crafted in darkness. I see the chaos being stirred to distract and dismantle. I see the spirits assigned to shake your foundation. And I've already made provision not for escape, but for protection. The shelter I offer is not in physical things. It is not in control or preparation or survival skills. It is in communion. It is in staying close to me, not conceptually, but intimately. Remaining under my covering means living from a place where my voice is your primary influence, not one of many. It means resting in promises when evidence seems to vanish. It means allowing me to be your first instinct, not your last resort. The danger is not the wind itself, it's stepping out uncovered. You were never meant to face spiritual storms with human strategies. The moment you try to weather what's coming with logic, strength, or routine alone, you begin to drift into exposure. And once you leave my shadow, you'll find that even small gusts feel overwhelming. I don't want that for you. That's why I've been drawing you inward. That's why your old supports are falling apart, not because I'm being cruel, but because they cannot withstand what's forming. You need something stronger. You need the kind of safety that can't be shaken. That safety is me. My covering doesn't just protect your life, it protects your perspective. It shields your mind from panic. It preserves your peace in ways the world can't replicate. But you must stay close, not just in crisis, but as your lifestyle. Don't treat my presence as a temporary refuge. Make it your constant home. That's where clarity is. That's where discernment grows. That's where courage is renewed. Outside of it, even small decisions become overwhelming. But within it, storms lose their authority. When I say stay under my covering, I mean stay connected to what I've spoken over you. Stay planted in the truth I've already given. Stop running to opinions every time the forecast shifts. I've already said what you need to stand on. Remember it. Declare it. Stand firm in it. The winds may rise, but they will not uproot what is anchored. I'm anchoring you, not in circumstances, but in covenant. You are not exposed. You are not alone. You are not left to figure this out. I'm surrounding you with grace so tangible it will steady you in the very eye of what's coming. And when it arrives, and yes, some of it you will be able to walk through without breaking. Others may fall into fear, but you will walk covered. Others may scatter, but you will stand still. Not because of your strength, but because of where you chose to abide. Make that choice now. Don't wait until you feel the first drop of rain. Don't wait until thunder shakes your confidence. Your turn now. Let me fold you beneath my wings, not just for safety, but for renewal. I will whisper strategies. I will reveal escape routes. I will give you peace that holds firm when logic shatters. But all of it begins by staying under the place I've carved for you. Don't wander. Don't risk exposure. Come under where my voice is clear, and no weapon form can prosper. So much depends on where your focus rests in this hour. It may seem small, insignificant even, to shift your gaze slightly, to glance toward uncertainty, to dwell on the voices around you, but every moment your attention is divided, something is delayed in the unseen. This is not to condemn you, but to reveal just how connected your inner stillness is to the flow of what I've promised. When your eyes remain fixed on me, you begin to receive without striving. Things that once felt impossible begin to unfold without you chasing after them. But the moment you allow fear, noise, or pressure to claim your gaze, your heart begins to tremble, and the flow slows. You've been asking for peace, but peace cannot live in a heart that keeps looking toward chaos. You've been desperate for provision, but provision follows presence, not panic. You've asked for my protection, but that covering is most powerful where your trust is anchored. Your attention is not a small thing, it is the gate to everything I want to release. When your focus is scattered, it weakens your ability to discern what I'm doing. That's when confusion finds its way in. That's when worry begins to choke your clarity. And I don't want that for you. You've lived long enough trying to juggle faith and fear, confidence and confusion. I'm calling you into a place where the noise no longer shakes you, because your attention is planted in me. If you're constantly staring at outcomes, you'll begin to measure your progress by what's visible. But I never asked you to monitor the fruit, I called you to trust the root. And I am the root. I am the foundation. I am the one holding your future intact when everything around you shifts. That's why your gaze matters. It's not about ignoring reality. It's about choosing which reality you build from my truth or the world's illusion. You don't have to deny the difficulty. You don't have to pretend everything is fine. But in the middle of it all, you can still choose to look at me. That's when things change. Not externally at first, but deeply within you. The kind of peace I give doesn't require circumstances to be perfect, it only requires that you remain connected to the source of it. You've been looking for solutions when I've already given you direction. Stay focused. Stay anchored. Stay present with me, even if everything else feels unsure. I've never failed you before, and I will not start now. But your heart must stop drifting. You cannot keep feeding your soul with distractions and expect to feel filled. You cannot keep listening to what drains you and expect strength to overflow. You cannot keep glancing toward fear and expect courage to grow. My child, there is a reason I am speaking so clearly, because I want to free you from the cycle. I want to lift you above the weight you keep falling under. But it requires your full attention. That means bringing every thought captive. That means guarding what enters your heart. That means shutting out the unnecessary and leaning into the eternal. You'll begin to notice something powerful. The more you focus on me, the more your atmosphere begins to respond. The stress starts to ease. The tension loosens its grip. The panic dissolves, and clarity starts to return. Provision begins to come, not through force, but through favor. Protection begins to manifest, not through control, but through covenant. Everything you've been reaching for externally flows freely when you're fully aligned internally. You don't have to make everything happen. You only have to look at me, stay with me, walk beside me, and I will make the way. Keep your eyes steady. This is not the time to look away. Before you even notice the pressure rising, before the opposition began to whisper behind the scenes, I was already at work ahead of it. I've observed every hidden conversation intended to harm you, every quiet strategy built to push you off track, every spiritual tactic designed to shake your footing, and none of it has caught me off guard. What the enemy crafts in darkness, I interrupt with light. He believes he is positioning people, events, and circumstances to corner you, but I've already moved pieces into place that will break his plan without you having to lift a hand in retaliation. You've been sensing something strange, something off, as though the atmosphere around you shifted without warning. That's because your spirit is picking up on activity that your natural senses can't fully explain. But I don't want you to fear that feeling. I want you to recognize it as a signal because it means I am moving. It means the battle has already been identified, and victory is being handled under the covering of my authority. You don't have to fight back the way you once did. You don't have to explain yourself to be protected. I am your defender, and I settle matters without public debates. I don't need a spotlight to bring justice. I just need your trust. There are things forming in the shadows that you were never meant to confront directly. They were designed to distract you from the assignment I've placed in your hands. That's why I'm shielding you from certain details. That's why some things seem quiet but feel heavy. I'm dealing with what's behind the scenes while you stay focused on what's ahead. If you try to turn around and investigate it all, you'll only slow your momentum. If you fixate on the source of resistance, you'll forget the direction I gave you. And that's exactly what the enemy wants: to drain your strength through worry, to cloud your vision through suspicion, to tire you out before you step into the moment I've prepared. But I am not asking you to fight that way anymore. I am asking you to stand still with eyes locked forward. My justice is not delayed. My deliverance is never late. While plots have been forming to confuse and corner you, I've already assigned angels to dismantle them before they materialize. I've positioned people you haven't met yet to open doors no one can close. I've stirred conversations in rooms where your name is being spoken with honor even while others tried to speak it with venom. You don't need to chase down rumors. You don't need to defend your worth. I've already validated you with my seal, and what I have affirmed no voice can undo. What the enemy meant for sabotage will become your setup. What was supposed to block you will be used as evidence that I've been with you all along. I waste nothing, not even the whispers of your adversaries. Every ounce of manipulation, every hidden motive, every counterfeit connection is being exposed and cleared out of your way. I'm ensuring that when the blessing lands, no contamination follows. I want you to walk into what's next with clean hands and a clear conscience. I want your spirit free from the weight of revenge or bitterness. Let me be the one who sees, judges, and resolves. You just keep building. Keep believing. Keep leaning in. Because while the enemy hath been plotting behind you, I've been preparing something far greater in front of you. You'll soon realize that every closed door, every delayed response, every sudden shift was part of my move to keep you untouched by what was never meant to have access to you. Stay focused. I've got your back, and what's ahead is proof. Here's something I need you to understand right now: not everything that feels paused is punishment. What appears stalled to your eyes may actually be my intentional timing, wrapping protection around your steps. You've looked at the gap between your prayer and the answer and wondered if you did something wrong, if you missed a cue, if somehow you fell out of step with what I wanted to do. But I need you to see it differently. I'm not holding back to tease your hope. I'm not being silent to confuse you. I am arranging details so intricately, so precisely, that one premature moment would unravel what I've so carefully aligned on your behalf. I don't just want the outcome to be right, I want your heart to be ready when it comes. And readiness requires preparation. There are pieces within you I've been strengthening without announcing it. The quiet days. I've been building endurance. The waiting. I've been shaping your patience into discernment. The silence. I've been increasing your sensitivity to my whisper. It hasn't been wasted, not a single hour. But timing doesn't only depend on the situation becoming ripe, it also depends on you being in the exact place where the release is scheduled to meet you. If you're out of place spiritually, emotionally, or mentally, what was meant to reach you can pass by without landing. That's why I've been prompting you, pressing you, pulling you deeper. Because I don't want you to miss it. You think you're behind, but I see you right on the edge. One more moment of surrender. One more decision to stay aligned. One more act of obedience when it doesn't make sense and everything shifts. The delay you're feeling is not me ignoring you, it's me adjusting you. If I gave you the answer in the state you were in weeks ago, it would have overwhelmed you, or worse, inflated you. I needed your heart humbled, your motives purified, your vision cleared. And you allowed me to do that, even though you didn't fully understand it. That's what has positioned you for what's coming. But I need you to stay there. Don't move from your post because it feels slow. Don't let restlessness trick you into abandoning what I told you to hold. The enemy loves to use time as a weapon. He whispers lies in the gap, accusations, doubts, distortions. He wants you to believe I've forgotten. But I am more present in your waiting than you realize. My hand hasn't paused, it simply moved beyond your view for a moment. But soon, what I've been building behind the veil will break into your timeline in ways you never expected. And when it does, I want you planted, not panicked. I want your spirit stable, not scrambling to catch up. So don't misread the stillness. Don't mistake the quiet for absence. There's a momentum that's building, heaven's alignment is converging. And when the appointed time strikes, nothing will stop what I've set in motion. Doors will swing open without explanation. Resources will find their way to you. Connections will emerge that make your head spin. But none of it can happen if you leave your place of focus now. That's the real test, not whether you can believe when everything moves fast, but whether you can trust me when nothing moves at all. You passed the test every time you chose to keep showing up, keep praying, keep worshiping, keep listening even when you didn't see the fruit. That posture is why you're about to see fulfillment. My timing is perfect. I've never missed a moment. And you are not waiting in vain. Just hold position. What's coming is worth every second you chose to stay still under my instruction. You've been carrying a weight that didn't begin heavy, it accumulated. It attached itself through subtle compromises, through moments where you told yourself, I'll deal with this later, or it's not that serious. But I saw how each small pull began to twist your focus and slow your spirit. Now your heart feels like it's dragging itself through days that once felt light, and you can't explain why. That heaviness is not who you are. It's not a punishment. It's not failure. It's me gently placing pressure on the parts of your life that have been consuming you in silence. This is my mercy in motion. I'm not exposing you to shame you. I'm uncovering what's been bearing your joy. You've gotten used to calling it normal, but it has been draining you. What you call routine, I see as restriction. What you excused as temporary, I see as dangerous. And now I am stepping in, not with judgment, but with rescue. You've been in places that keep your spirit stuck. Environments that once felt safe have turned into cages. Relationships that once inspired you are now exhausting you. Thoughts you once brushed off are now looping like chains in your mind. And I will not let you remain in what weakens your design. You've wondered why peace feels distant and why passion is dimmed, but the answer is not complicated. You are entangled in something that I never asked you to carry. It might not be visible to others. You may still smile. You may still function. But underneath, I see the soul strain. That's why I'm reaching now. That's why I'm pressing into the layers you tried to lock down. I'm not here to scold, I'm here to extract. There is a deeper freedom I want to walk you into, but I can't place fresh oil on hands still gripping what's been quietly poisoning your strength. It's not always sin. Sometimes, it's the slow decay of something you were never supposed to build your identity on. And if you let me, I will gently remove it. I will pull you out of mindsets that keep you in cycles. I will break the soul ties that distort your discernment. I will close doors you were too afraid to shut. But it all starts with surrender. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to pretend it's light. I already know it's heavy. And I know why. The heartache, the self-doubt, the fatigue, it's all connected to what you've allowed to stay longer than it was meant to. But I am the one who calls things into order. And I am calling your soul back to rest. You are not meant to walk through life gasping for peace. You are not built to survive on fragments of joy. That's why I'm moving now. That's why the things you once tolerated suddenly feel unbearable. I'm not making your life harder, I'm shaking loose the things that were slowly suffocating your spirit. This is divine discomfort. It's the kind of pressure that leads to release. If you resist it, you'll continue feeling stretched and unsure. But if you yield to it, you'll find healing in places you didn't even realize were wounded. I'm not asking for perfection, I'm asking for permission. Let me into the part of you that stopped hoping. Let me into the space where heaviness settled and made a home. I am the lifter of burdens. I am the restorer of the worn down. I am the voice that breaks every silent chain. And I am speaking now not in wrath, but in compassion. Don't run from this weight. Run to me with it. Place it down. Let me deal with what's been dealing with you. And watch how quickly peace begins to flow again, not as a moment, but as a new way of living. You were never meant to stay heavy. You were made to move free. What you're walking through right now may feel like disorientation, like everything familiar is slipping through your hands, and the path ahead is blurry, but this is not abandonment. This is realignment. You are not off course, you're in the middle of being redirected toward something more precise. The instability you sense isn't because you failed, it's because I'm adjusting your spiritual compass. You asked for clarity, but before I reveal what's ahead, I must first restore the way you see me. I'm not just trying to answer your questions, I'm refining your sensitivity to my leading. The version of you that stepped into this season cannot carry the next assignment. So I'm stripping away the layers of assumption, the reliance on what used to work, the patterns that once kept you steady but have now become outdated. I'm calling you into a posture that relies not on predictability but presence. I'm not recalibrating your circumstances, I'm recalibrating your connection. And the way I do that is by drawing your attention back to the center. That center is me. I am the anchor that holds when everything else is shifting. But you must focus not because I need your attention, but because you need your direction. Focus is what positions you to interpret what I'm doing correctly. Without it, you'll mislabel seasons. You'll call growth confusion. You'll think transformation is rejection. But when your focus is clear, even my silence speaks with purpose. Even waiting begins to feel like preparation instead of punishment. That's the power of alignment. It rewrites your interpretation of everything around you. I never promised that the process would be smooth, but I did promise I'd be with you inside it. And right now, I'm with you in this transition, not watching from a distance, but walking you through the realignment. Every delay, every closed door, every unexpected shift has been part of this recalibration. I'm not taking from you, I'm untangling you. You've become attached to patterns that can't go with you. You've been listening to voices that once helped, but are now hindering. You've outgrown some places mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and that's why they feel tight. It's not because you're failing, it's because I'm stretching. I'm building the capacity required for what's coming next. But before I expand what's around you, I must first adjust what's within you. That's why I'm refining your focus. I'm teaching you to hear me again, not through chaos, but through clarity. I'm rebuilding your trust not on outcomes, but on presence. I'm making your eyes sharper, not so you can see the future, but so you can recognize my movement in the present. This is where the recalibration becomes holy, when you stop trying to return to what felt safe and instead lean fully into what feels sacred. And what's sacred right now is your surrender. I'm not asking you to understand. I'm asking you to yield. Give me permission to lead without needing me to explain every step. Let go of the pressure to fix it all, and instead fix your eyes on me. I will guide you. I will show you what to do next. But only when your heart is still enough to follow. You are not falling apart. You are being refined. You are not behind schedule. You are right where you need to be to hear me clearly again. This is the part where your roots go deeper. This is the turning point where you stop surviving by memory and begin thriving by revelation. Let me recalibrate your heart. Let me bring your gaze back into alignment. When your focus returns, your direction will too. And the confusion that's weighed you down will begin to unravel, not by force but by the peace that comes when you're locked into my presence again. There are burdens you were never meant to carry this long. Responsibilities, expectations, silent fears they've built up slowly over time, not all at once, but little by little. And now you find yourself exhausted by loads I never asked you to shoulder alone. I've been standing near, gently urging you to look my way, to hand them over, to stop dragging what I'm ready to lift. But each time you delay returning your full focus to me, the weight increases not because I'm adding more, but because the longer you hold what I meant to carry, the heavier it becomes. You were created to walk with me, not ahead of me. You were designed to live from my rhythm, not your own. But every time your focus shifts toward everything that demands your attention, you move out of sync with the ease I offer. My burden is light. My yoke is easy. But to experience that, you must lay down what's not yours. There are pressures pressing on you that look like responsibility, but are actually rooted in fear of being behind, fear of missing out, fear of disappointing others, fear of not being enough. That's why you keep running in circles, because fear fuels striving, and striving wears down your soul. I want to lift that from you. I want to exchange your anxious momentum for divine movement. But I can only do that when you choose to pause and return to stillness. Each minute away from me drains a little more clarity. Each delay in focus dims your sensitivity to what I'm saying. I'm not angry about it, but I'm urgent. Because the longer you try to juggle the noise without recalibrating your vision, the further you get from the peace you're craving. Here's a flow I want you to step into, a pace designed for your exact frame, where you're no longer running on empty, where grace carries you instead of performance pushing you. But that can't happen until you turn your eyes away from everything else and set them back on me, not briefly, not casually, but fully. I know you feel tired. I know it's overwhelming to think about how to untangle all of it. But this doesn't begin with fixing, it begins with focus. One glance in my direction, and I begin to shift what's been pressing against you. I don't need you to solve it. I need you to surrender it. Let me do the heavy lifting. Let me untie what you've knotted with worry. Let me show you that freedom doesn't come from effort, it comes from attention. When your gaze locks onto mine, chains begin to break without you even realizing it. Peace begins to bloom in places where panic once sat. The pressure doesn't disappear, but it loses its control over you. You regain your breath. You remember who you are. You begin to move from a place of rest instead of reacting to everything pulling at you. It's the power of divine focus. And that's what I'm offering you again right now. Not just relief, but realignment. Not just a break, but a new blueprint for how to walk forward. But the longer you postpone, the more this burden builds. I don't want that for you. I didn't create you for weariness. I designed you for abiding. So come back. Set your eyes on me again. Lay down the weight. You'll find I was never asking you to carry it in the first place. I was just waiting for you to look up long enough to let it go. There is a gate being prepared, a shift, a moment, a holy opening that carries more than opportunity. It carries assignment. But this door is not designed to swing wide for everyone. It is reserved for those who are fully awake in their spirit, whose attention is fixed, not on outcomes but on me. You've been asking me for breakthrough, for the next chapter, for forward movement, and I have heard you. The door is not the problem. It's ready. It's waiting. But you must be in position to see it when it appears, because it will not arrive the way you expect. This is a moment of divine precision. It will come quietly to the one who is still. It will appear suddenly to the one who is alert. If your focus is scattered, you will walk past the very thing you were praying for. That's why I've been urging you back into focus, not because I needed your attention, but because your own breakthrough requires it. If your gaze is caught up in comparison, in frustration, in past disappointments, you'll misread the signs that are already pointing to the way forward. The door I'm speaking of is not only physical, is spiritual, is relational, is positional. It will be the kind of entrance that doesn't just change your surroundings, it changes how you see yourself. You won't recognize it through logic. You'll recognize it through peace. The kind of peace that doesn't make sense. The kind of peace that settles deep in your bones even when everything around you looks uncertain. But to detect it, your spirit must be tuned. Your hearing must be sharp. Your discernment must be active. That's why I've been allowing this inner tension not to hurt you, but to awaken you. I don't want you missing what's next because your eyes were still locked on what already ended. Let go of what closed so you don't miss what's opening. If you keep staring at the past, regret will blind you from recognizing the new beginning right in front of you. What's coming isn't a repeat of what failed. It's an entirely new path, one crafted from my design, not from your effort. But access comes with alignment. This isn't about earning it. This is about being able to perceive it. And perception requires presence. I'm not rushing you, but I am warning you this next door isn't waiting for convenience. It's appearing at the appointed moment. And those who are present with me will step through it with clarity. Others may be distracted by noise, opinions, or self-reliance, but you, my child, will walk forward with quiet confidence, because your eyes are on me. I have gone before you to prepare this access point. I have touched hearts. I have set things in motion. I have spoken your name in places where favor dwells. But I will not force you into anything. I offer direction. I don't manipulate movement. I invite. I don't push. Your response to my leading will determine what opens before you. Stay close to my voice. Stay anchored in my truth. You don't need to look for the door, it will find you. But only if your face is turned in the right direction. That direction is always me. So don't look to the left or the right. Don't stare at who's moving faster. Don't compare journeys. Stay locked into my presence. Trust the pace I've set for you. The opening is closer than you think. And when it arrives, you will know not because someone told you, but because your spirit will leap. You will feel it. You'll recognize the shift in the atmosphere. You will step through with faith, not fear. And everything on the other side will make sense of the waiting you once questioned. Just keep looking at me. I'll signal when it's time. I've watched you scan your surroundings for signs, hoping something external would settle what's been stirring within. You've asked for reassurance through people, through patterns, through events, hoping the world would validate what I already whispered to your spirit long ago. But the very answer you're desperate to see has never left. It's been me. I am not hiding. I am not silent. I've been constant in every moment you've questioned, waiting not for your perfection but for your stillness. You've chased clarity in countless directions, revisiting old advice, overanalyzing moments, reading words meant for yesterday yet still feeling like something is missing. That ache, that unfulfilled longing. It's not because the answer hasn't come. It's because your eyes have been everywhere but here, right here, where I've been all along. You see, what I speak does not always echo through crowds. It doesn't always shout through the loudest voice. My answers are not dependent on external agreement. They live in the place where you and I meet, the quiet, sacred space where my truth confirms itself, not through applause, but through inner knowing. You keep asking me to repeat what I've already revealed, but I will not water down what I've spoken just to satisfy your temporary fear. Instead, I'm calling you deeper beyond the surface level searching, into the place of divine confidence. I want you to recognize my voice not through repetition, but through relationship. You won't need endless proof when my presence becomes your assurance. The reason peace feels distant isn't because I've withheld it. It's because you connect uncertainty to condition. You've tied trust to timing, and you've depended on visible outcomes to settle invisible doubts. But that's not how faith works. Real faith flourishes where external evidence is absent but intimacy is full. You won't always feel it in your emotions, but you will know it in your spirit. That knowing is your confirmation. That stillness that won't leave you, that's me. That weight that returns when you stray too far, that's my hand, not letting you get comfortable in confusion. I don't want you addicted to confirmation. I want you anchored in communion. When you learn to trust my first whisper, you won't need 100 echoes. You won't chase validation in the voices around you. You won't search for signs in scattered places. You'll simply return to me and know. That's what I'm cultivating in you now, an unshakable awareness that doesn't flinch when storms come or when outcomes delay. You don't need another open door to prove I'm leading you. You don't need another opinion to legitimize your journey. I've already gone ahead. I've already marked the path. I've already prepared the provision. But what I need from you is your agreement. Not your striving, not your doubt, just your yes. Stop looking for something else to confirm what you've already sensed inside. A gentle conviction. That push toward obedience you can't shake. That's not your imagination. That's me. And every time you turn outward for reassurance, you delay the forward motion I'm trying to initiate. I'm not waiting for circumstances to align, I'm waiting for you to believe that I've already spoken. You won't get the next instruction until you honor the last one. The longer you hesitate, the more room fear has to grow roots. But if you choose to trust me now, if you plant your feet in the word I already gave, you'll feel the shift. The fog will begin to clear. The doubt will lose its grip. And what once felt like silence will suddenly make perfect sense. I'm not holding back because I'm distant. I'm holding space for you to return to the place where your faith was never about signs, but about staying close enough to me that no sign was ever needed. And once you lock eyes with me again, you'll realize what you've been looking for has always been here. I am your answer. You're in deeper water than you planned to be, and I know how overwhelmed you've been trying to keep your head above the chaos. Your strength feels like it's slipping, and the more you fight to stay afloat with your own effort, the more exhausted you become. You've been trying to fix it, patch it, float with it, but the lifeboats you keep reaching for were never built to rescue you. Some of them are old coping mechanisms. Some are distractions you dressed up as solutions. Others are people you thought would hold you when everything fell apart, but now even they are drifting. And here you are, gripping onto things that are sinking with you instead of saving you. My child, I'm not asking you to be strong, I'm asking you to let go. You don't need to hold on to what's already falling apart just because it feels familiar. You don't need to pretend it's working just to avoid facing the unknown. What you're reaching for isn't rescuing you, it's delaying your deliverance. And I can't pull you into the next place while your fists are clenched around what was only meant to be temporary. I've been reaching toward you this whole time, not with condemnation, but with compassion. You think I've been quiet, but I've been speaking through every failed escape plan. I've been showing you through every lifeline that didn't hold. It wasn't to punish you. It was to protect you from settling for survival when I've called you into full restoration. I'm not on the sidelines, waiting to see if you'll drown. I'm already in the water with you, arms extended, heart steady, strength unfailing. But you've got to trust me more than you trust what's sinking. You've got to believe that my grip is stronger than the waves and that my voice has more authority than the fear screaming inside your chest. The storm may be raging, but the moment your eyes meet mine, everything shifts. Not because the storm disappears immediately, but because your focus disarms its power. The wind doesn't scare me. The waves don't shake me. I walked on what you're sinking in, and I'm still the same. I know you're tired of fighting. I know you're tired of pretending you're okay. You've patched holes in your heart with things that gave temporary relief but never lasting freedom. And now those things are starting to crumble. That's not failure, it's mercy. I'm letting them fall so that you finally reach for what will not. I am not one outcome among many. I am the anger, the rescuer, the breath that fills your lungs when you've got nothing left. You've tried everything else, now try me fully. No more backup plans. No more second guessing. No more double-mindedness. Grab hold and don't look back. When you take my hand, I won't just keep you from sinking, I'll lift you into a new place. A place where you don't live moment to moment trying to stay above water, but where you walk with confidence, knowing who holds you. I want to teach you how to live above the panic, not just survive beneath it. But I can't do that while you're still clinging to partial trust. This requires everything. This requires surrender that doesn't leave room for fallback options. But if you choose it, if you reach with full trust, you will feel what it's like to be held without slipping. You will know what it means to be safe in the middle of a storm. And you will no longer waste energy trying to keep yourself afloat, because I will be the one carrying you forward. Let go of what's crumbling. It was never meant to be your foundation. Reach for me now, not with one hand, but with your whole heart. I am your safety. I am your rescue. And I will not let you go under. There's been a constant hum beneath your days, a quiet agitation you haven't been able to name. You've tried to shake it off, tried to distract it away, even blamed it on circumstances, but it lingers. That's because your spirit isn't at war with life. It's misaligned with my rhythm. You're tuned into too many sources at once, competing voices, endless noise, emotional static, and it's creating interference. You can't rest because your inner signal keeps cutting in and out. What you feel isn't failure, it's spiritual dissonance. And I'm calling you out of it. I'm not asking you to perform, to achieve, or to do more. I'm inviting you into stillness, the place where clarity returns and chaos loses its grip. You were never created to live frantically. The world may applaud hustle and constant motion, but I created you to move in sync with my whisper. That whisper isn't found in endless doing, it's found in silence, in still space, in the sacred margin where my presence isn't competing for your attention. That restlessness isn't because something is wrong with you, it's because I'm growing you to recalibrate. You've outgrown the rhythm you've been moving in. I've been shifting you internally, but the pace of your life hasn't adjusted to match what I'm doing. That mismatch is why peace feels like it's slipping through your fingers. You're not broken, you're being bitten. I want to teach you how to hear me again, not through noise, but through presence. You keep asking for clarity, but clarity comes where there is space to listen. I don't force my voice over the volume you choose. If your life is crowded, my guidance will always feel faint, not because I'm distant, but because you're distracted. Come away from the clamor. Step back from what constantly demands without giving life in return. Disconnect from the artificial urgency that's stolen your attention. Not everything deserves access to your mind. Not every upbeat deserves your energy. You can't hear renewal while drowning in input. Stillness isn't passivity, it's positioning. When you still your soul, you return to awareness of me. You begin to recognize my movements again, not as fleeting moments, but as constant companionship. In stillness, I align your perspective. I reset your emotions. I quiet your fear. You begin to breathe in peace, not manufactured by circumstance, but flowing straight from my presence. You don't need a break from life, you need a return to source. You don't need to run away, you need to sit with me. I am not hiding. I am waiting. The volume of your world has simply been louder than my invitation. That's why I'm calling you to retreat, not from responsibility, but from restlessness. Stop trying to fix everything before you pause. The pause is the fix. When you come into stillness with me, you give me permission to touch places you've been too busy to notice were aching. You've been moving fast, not out of joy, but survival. But I didn't create you to simply get through days. I created you to live fully, from presence to work from peace, speak from overflow, love from wholeness. That cannot be accessed at the speed you're going. Slowness is not weakness. Silence is not laziness. Rest is resistance to the chaos that wants to keep you bound. So come, not just once. Come daily. Meet me in the space you've left empty for too long. I don't need perfection, I need permission. I want your presence more than your productivity. I want your attention more than your ability. Let me renew what's been worn thin. Let me refresh what's been dry. Let me recalibrate what's been out of tune. When you settle into me again, the restlessness will lift, not because the world stopped moving, but because you finally did. You've built certain structures around your life, leaning on routines, patterns, and people to give you some sense of stability. And for a time, they seemed strong. They gave you a rhythm to follow, a place to rest your thoughts. But I never meant for those supports to become your foundation. What felt like safety was only meant to be temporary scaffolding. And now, in my mercy, I'm letting it weaken not to hurt you, but to free you. I cannot allow you to keep leaning on systems that substitute for surrender. You've depended on things that cannot carry the weight of your purpose, and if I let them remain standing, they would become your ceiling. This collapse isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's me removing your dependency on things that were never meant to be permanent. I've watched you work hard to maintain what was already cracking. You've prayed for strength to keep it together, but what you don't see is that I've been gently loosening your grip on what's been quietly holding you back. You've attached your identity to outcomes. You've mistaken consistency for security. But what I'm building anew doesn't come from control, it comes from trust. And trust begins where your structures end. Yes, it's going to feel uncomfortable. Yes, it's going to shake what you thought was solid. But I am not the one creating chaos, I am exposing fragility. I am showing you that no matter how strong you think something looks, if it wasn't built on me, it will not endure. That includes plans. That includes relationships. That includes expectations you've placed on yourself. You were never designed to be upheld by your own strength. That's why the exhaustion has been rising. That's why your inner peace has been inconsistent. You've been reinforcing something I never asked you to maintain. Let it fall. Let what needs to crumble finally break. I will catch you. I will hold you as I rebuild. What's coming requires a new foundation, one that is not built on fear of failure, not built on proving yourself, not built on the pressure to keep everything running. I want you planted on the truth of who I am and who you are in me. No more pretending that everything is okay while you're barely holding it together behind closed doors. No more chasing perfection through fragile frameworks. I'm stripping away every false support so that you finally discover the strength of my presence. You've been praying for more. You've been asking for expansion, elevation, and clarity. But expansion requires excavation. Before I can build up, I must dig deep. And that means removing what's shaky beneath the surface. You might feel exposed, but exposure leads to healing. You might feel vulnerable, but that's where intimacy grows. I'm not interested in the shell of your life, I'm after the core. And I love you too much to let you keep depending on what drains you. Let me be your strength. Not in theory, but in function. Let me be the one you lean on first, not last. I'm not an addition to your plan, I'm the foundation of it. When everything else gives way, I remain unshaken. And I want you to live with that same unshakable spirit. But that can't happen as long as your security is wrapped in things that shift. So, I'm asking you to release it, the old scaffolding, the coping strategies, the silent vows that said, I have to do this on my own. You never had to. I've been here the whole time, waiting to be your firm ground. When you let it go, you'll find that I've already laid something stronger beneath it. You didn't lose stability, you just lost the illusion of it. Now, you're ready for the real thing. Let me build you up on what cannot be moved. I won't force my way into a heart that's preoccupied with everything but me. I love you too much to fight for space in a life that gives me only leftover attention. You were made for full communion, not fragmented devotion. And though I've never left your side, I've watched your gaze wander, your thoughts scatter, your time fill up with everything but me. I've watched you chase what temporarily satisfies, only to come back empty again. I've waited as you gave your energy to voices that fed anxiety, to routines that numbed your spirit, and to cycles that promised peace but never delivered it. And still, I did not withdraw. I stayed. Quiet, patient, steady, ready to welcome you the moment you decided to come back fully. But hear me, I will not shout above your noise. I will not compete for your affection like the world does. My presence is not built to entertain, it's built to transform. And transformation only happens when you slow down enough to listen, to yield, to make space where there has been none. You may feel that I am distant, but I haven't moved. It's the distractions that have formed a fog around your spirit. And while I could break through it with force, I choose to wait for your invitation. Not because I need your permission to love you, but because real love honors choice. There is a door in your heart that only opens from the inside. And each time you fill your mind with noise, you deaden the sensitivity required to hear my voice clearly. I've been speaking through whispers, through subtle nudges, through quiet warnings, but when you are tuned into everything else, those signals get buried. You don't need more volume, you need more stillness. I haven't stopped communicating. You just stopped listening. I'm not condemning you. I'm calling you. Not to guilt, but to grace. Because what I want to give you now can't be absorbed in 5-minute fragments or one-time prayers. You were created for consistent communion, not emergency check-ins. I don't want your panic, I want your partnership. I don't want your rituals, I want your reality. Bring me your honest heart, not your polished mask. Bring me your confusion, your longing, your fatigue. I can work with that. I cannot, however, work with a heart that only partially shows up. Divided attention always leads to diluted power. You've been wondering why your spirit feels dry, why the words you used to say with faith now feel hollow. It's because connection has been reduced to obligation. But I am not a box to check. I am not a side conversation. I am your source. When you finally decide to silence the other voices, you'll realize I've been waiting in the quiet all along. When you return, not just physically, but with your thoughts, your emotions, your willingness, you'll feel the flood of peace that only my nearness provides. The noise you've normalized was never meant to guide you. The hurry you've adopted was never meant to define you. Come out of it. Lay it down. The urgency of your schedule will always demand more, but I'm not asking for more. I'm asking for you. I don't require you to be perfect before you come. I don't expect you to have all the answers. I only ask for your full attention, even if it starts with broken focus. I can rebuild intimacy, but you have to open the door. I can restore what's faded, but I won't do it without your consent. The life you're aching for isn't found in more effort, it's found in presence. And my presence is not in the distant future, it's in the moment you finally choose to be with me. So when the distractions become too loud, and you grow weary of pretending you're fine, remember, I'm still here. When you're done chasing what leaves you hollow, I'll still be here. Not with judgment, but with open arms, ready to begin again. Always ready. This moment you're standing in has nothing to do with forcing outcomes or proving your worth. I'm not placing demands on you to measure your performance. I'm inviting you into a position that allows heaven to meet you where you are. You don't have to struggle for what I've already prepared. But to receive it, your heart must be turned in the direction of my movement. This isn't about how hard you try, it's about where you're standing. If you're misaligned, even my blessings will feel distant. Not because they're far, but because you're facing the wrong direction. I don't want you to chase another opportunity or fight to make something happen. I want you to come into agreement with the flow of my spirit. That's where breakthroughs begin. You've been trained by the world to equate progress with pressure. But my kingdom operates differently. What I am unlocking in your life requires surrender, not striving. It's not about forcing the door open, it's about recognizing the moment I choose to open it and being ready to walk through it without delay. I want to position you where favor recognizes you, where peace flows freely, where my plans find you without interference. But I cannot do that while you are anchored to places I've asked you to release. You've clung to environments that no longer serve your calling. You've remained in postures that once brought clarity but now invite confusion. You've called it consistency, but I see it as resistance. I need you to let go, not because you failed, but because I'm doing something new. This repositioning may feel like loss at first. It may look like things are being taken. But I never remove without purpose. I shift to make space. I relocate to realign. I adjust to prepare you for something your current atmosphere cannot support. You've outgrown certain structures, certain cycle, certain ways of thinking, and it's time to step out of them. You don't have to understand it all. You just have to respond. You may not see how this moment connects to the bigger picture, but I do. I see the sequence. I know exactly what must shift inside of you so the external changes won't crush you. This breakthrough you've been asking for, it's heavier than you think. It carries responsibility, influence, and weight. And unless you're standing in the right place mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you'll miss the fullness of it or be unable to sustain it. So I'm calling you now not just to hope for change, but to be made ready for it. That means letting me move what you've been too afraid to touch. That means giving me access to the parts of your heart you've shielded for too long. It means trusting that I know what you need even when it doesn't feel like what you wanted. I am the master builder. I don't just construct, I prepare the ground. And that's what I'm doing in you. I'm preparing the soil for what's about to grow. The pressure isn't punishment, it's positioning. I'm placing you in divine alignment so that when the heavens open over you, nothing is missed. Nothing is lost. Nothing is wasted. Don't resist the shift. Don't pull away just because it feels unfamiliar. I'm not asking you to be comfortable, I'm asking you to be available. There is a breakthrough scheduled to arrive in your space. But if you're not where I need you to be, spiritually attuned, emotionally present, fully surrendered, it will pass through without the impact I intended. That's why this day matters. That's why I've made it impossible for you to stay where you were. I am repositioning you not just for increase, but for inheritance. So stop striving. Stop stressing. Lift your eyes. Lean into my leading. And take your place. The shift is here not to crush you, but to crown you. You may not understand why certain connections have suddenly gone quiet, why what used to soothe your anxiety now feels empty, or why the words that once uplifted you no longer carry weight. But what feels like loss is actually a cleansing. I am purging your space not out of anger, but out of fierce love. You surrounded yourself with sounds and sources that seemed to bring peace, but they only offered distraction. They numbed the ache without healing it. They gave you moments of relief without pointing you back to me. I've watched you turn to them again and again, when you were tired, afraid, or uncertain. But they were never designed to lead you. They were only meant to last for a season, and that season has ended. You've been calling this disconnection strange. But what you're really experiencing is divine subtraction. I'm tearing down the echoes that masqueraded as wisdom but diluted your discernment. I'm cutting the cords of dependence on things that cannot carry the weight of your destiny. I'm not trying to isolate you, I'm sanctifying your atmosphere. Because you've prayed for clarity, and now I'm answering, but not the way you expected. You thought clarity would come through explanation, but sometimes it comes through elimination. I am not subtracting what you need. I'm clearing away what clouds your spiritual signal. And yes, it may feel sudden. Yes, it may sting. But what I'm removing would have suffocated what I'm about to give. There are voices you let stay too long, voices that sounded close to truth, but carried subtle lies, wrapped in comfort. They fed your feelings but not your faith. They soothed your wounds, but never pointed you to healing. They gave you language for pain but no direction for freedom. And now, I'm stepping in not to shame you but to shield you. You didn't know how much noise was influencing your choices. You didn't realize how entangled your peace had become with people and patterns I never approve. But I've seen it. I've seen how those false comforts gave you temporary rest but left your spirit still starving. That's why I'm intervening now. This is the beginning of sacred silence. A silence not filled with absence but with awareness. You're going to begin hearing me more clearly than ever, not because I'm suddenly louder, but because I've cleared the space around your heart. This is where sensitivity returns. This is where discernment sharpens. I'm not just removing distractions, I'm restoring devotion. The things I take away are not being stolen from you, they are being replaced with what's real, eternal, and pure. I don't remove anything without the intention of replacing it with something far better. You asked for my presence to increase. This is what that answer looks like. Let me clear the stage. Let me sweep away the noise you didn't know was corrupting your vision. I am doing this so you can begin to live from a deeper place. I want your foundation to be pure, not mixed with emotion, dependency, or opinion. I want your ears tuned to my frequency without interference. I want your mind no longer battling every outside narrative. I want your heart uncluttered by comparisons and surface-level comfort. I want you whole, focused, and unshaken. So as these false things fall away, don't mourn what I'm removing. Don't chase what's collapsing. Don't reach for what I've already declared expired. Let it go. This is not rejection, it's redirection. This is not divine silence, it's divine refinement. I am not taking from you. I'm returning you to the kind of peace that doesn't depend on anything outside of me. And once you've tasted that kind of clarity, you'll never settle for noise again. Everything you've been facing lately, those waves of discouragement, the emotional confusion, the sudden fatigue for no reason, the pressure that appears out of nowhere, is not just coincidence. It's warfare. The kind that doesn't scream at you but slowly tries to wear you down until you begin to question everything you were once certain of. But this battle isn't about the surface, it's about your focus. The enemy isn't threatened by your circumstances. He's terrified of your vision. He knows that if you keep your eyes locked on what I'm revealing, he loses his influence. That's why he's been targeting your attention, trying to steal your gaze with subtle disruptions, emotional instability, or unexpected setbacks. But I need you to recognize this for what it truly is: a desperate attempt to break your rhythm of obedience. What you see happening around you isn't the full picture. The real fight is happening beneath what you can measure with logic. That's why reacting in your own strength will never be enough. This is a spiritual confrontation, and it requires spiritual awareness. I'm giving you the ability now to see beyond it, to see through it, to rise above it. But that clarity only comes when you stop analyzing everything with natural eyes and start walking by the Spirit. I've already provided insight, but it's buried beneath the noise of the temporary. You won't find understanding in the swirl of emotions. You'll find it when you pause, pull away, and ask me to show you what's actually happening. You've been interpreting resistance as failure. But resistance is often confirmation that you're heading in the right direction. The enemy doesn't fight what isn't threatening. His attack is evidence of my hand on your life. But this is where the turning point happens, when you stop reacting and start discerning. I don't want you to keep swinging in shadows. I want you to see the roots beneath the fruit. I want to show you how the patterns in your days are connected to strongholds in the unseen. You're not weak, you're in training. I'm sharpening your ability to recognize where the pressure is coming from and respond from a place of authority, not fear. But this strategy I'm giving you can only be received if your attention is set on me. If you stay glued to the pain, to the confusion, to the immediate frustrations, you'll miss the greater reality I'm trying to reveal. I need you to zoom out. Step back. Ask me to reveal what's behind the resistance. And I will. I'm not hiding the truth from you, I'm waiting for you to ask for deeper sight. There are layers I want to uncover. Layers that will not only help you overcome this moment, but will teach you how to move forward without falling into the same cycles again. This is not just about surviving spiritual attacks. It's about learning how to operate above them. I'm bringing you into a place where discernment becomes your protection, where you don't waste energy fighting what I never assigned you to battle, where you speak with authority because you understand your position. And that only happens when you rise above the fog and lock eyes with me again. Let me train your perspective. Let me open your eyes like I did for my servant Elisha, who saw that the hills were full of my armies, even when the enemy surrounded him. You, too, are surrounded by more than you can see. You are covered. You are guarded. But you must see it. And to see it, you must choose to come higher. Don't let the enemy keep your head down. Don't let discouragement bow your spirit. Lift your vision. Look through my lens, and you will begin to see that the pressure was never your end, it was your awakening. Nothing about your day is random. Nothing is accidental. I've woven divine appointments into what seems ordinary. There are conversations that will carry direction, encounters that will unlock understanding, and moments that will seem small on the surface but carry eternal weight. But for you to notice them, your spirit must remain attentive. I am speaking in unexpected ways. I'm dropping confirmation into places you weren't even looking. That whisper of encouragement from someone you barely know. That idea that keeps resurfacing when you're still. That passage that stirs something deeper than usual. These aren't coincidences. These are coordinated by my hand, tailored to meet you exactly where you are. But this guidance isn't loud. It doesn't come with flashing lights. It arrives gently, quietly, in the form of alignment, subtle nudges, divine disruptions. Doors opening while others close without explanation. I am forming a path beneath your feet as you walk with me, but if you move too fast or life too distracted, you will miss what I've placed right beside you. This is why I keep inviting you to stay close. Not just close in word, but close in awareness. I want you living from the inside out, not driven by outer pressures, but led by inner prompting. Because when your attention is rooted in my presence, you begin to sense things before they unfold. You catch the signals. You hear the cues. You know when to speak and when to wait, when to move and when to stay still. I'm surrounding you with provision, but it may not always look the way you imagined. Sometimes it comes wrapped in inconvenience and unexpected conversation that delays your schedule but delivers wisdom. Other times, it arrives through interruption, a detour that ends up being the protection you didn't know you needed. I've hidden help in places that only discernment can uncover. You've been asking for answers, but I am teaching you to recognize instruction even when it wears unfamiliar clothing. That requires you to stay spiritually awake, not letting routine lull you into apathy. I'm sending signs, but you must be in tune to interpret them. The reason I'm training your awareness is because the next steps I give you will come one at a time. No map, no blueprint. Just me, leading you moment by moment. And that kind of walk cannot be sustained by information, it can only thrive in intimacy. You will hear my direction in the middle of daily life. A text you're about to send, pause. A door you're thinking of closing, wait. That offer you want to rush in to ask me first. I am not withholding answers. I am teaching you to live connected. So connected that you don't need to wait for a crisis to pray. So present that my whisper becomes louder than your worry. So sensitive that you detect my presence even when the world around you feels uncertain. Don't let what's loud steal your attention from what's holy. The enemy wants you numbed by noise so you miss my signals. But I am retraining your eyes to spot divine fingerprints. I am renewing your ears to catch the details in my voice. I'm removing the dullness that crept in from too much information and not enough revelation. This is a reset of your spiritual senses. Pay attention to the atmosphere around you today. I will confirm things you've been wondering about. I will close off things you kept trying to open. I will highlight what was once hidden. But you must be looking. You must be listening. You must walk with the expectancy that heaven is near, not distant. That I am involved in everything, not just the big decisions, but the quiet corners of your day. The more you train your spirit to recognize me in the small, the more you will be prepared for the major turning points ahead. This is not the season to walk blindly. It's the season to walk closely. Stay near, and you will see what I've placed all around you, clear, timely, and unmistakably from me. You are closer than you realize. The edge of breakthrough is beneath your feet, but it requires endurance in the unseen moments. What I'm preparing to place into your life isn't delayed, it's positioned to meet you in perfect alignment. But if you drift now, if you pull away when it feels quiet, you'll miss the intersection where my promise and your posture were meant to collide. I don't want you to lose momentum because of weariness. I don't want you to forfeit timing because discomfort whispered lies. You've come through too much, survived too many battles, walked too far to detach at the doorstep. The tension you feel is not the end, it's the weight of something ready to be born. You've been tempted lately to back off, to quiet your pursuit, to loosen your grip on what I spoke. The waiting has felt heavy. The silence has been loud. But what you don't see is what I've been doing behind the curtain. I've been orchestrating unseen alignments, changing the hearts of others, preparing doors that require only one more step from you, one more act of trust, one more moment of persistence. The moment you consider walking away is often the moment just before everything shifts. But you will know that unless you stay. You see, spiritual timing doesn't come with countdowns. There's no flashing signal that tells you it's about to happen. That's why consistency matters. Because what I pour out doesn't land in random places, it lands on readiness. And readiness is proven when you say faithfully even when you feel forgotten. It's tested when you show up in prayer even when it feels dry. It's developed when you lean into me with no applause, no answer, no sign, just raw trust. That kind of trust attracts heaven. That kind of trust draws fulfillment into view. The enemy knows how close you are. That's why the pressure has increased. That's why distractions have multiplied. He doesn't need to destroy you, he just needs to pull your focus an inch to the side. Because once your gaze shifts, your grip weakens. And once your grip weakens, you become vulnerable to premature decisions. But I'm not calling you to force anything. I'm calling you to hold your position. Stay where I placed you, even if it feels uncomfortable. Stay where I last spoke, even if I haven't repeated myself. Stay under the instructions I gave you, even if others don't understand your posture. This moment is sacred, not because it looks spectacular, but because it's strategic. You've asked me to open the door. I'm telling you now, the door is being unlocked. But if you walk away now, you'll miss the sound of the latch. You'll miss the timing of my voice saying, "Now go." Stay close. Stay sensitive. Don't disconnect. Not in your thoughts, not in your attitude, not in your discipline. Every time you feel like quitting, push deeper. Worship when it makes no sense. Praise when it feels unnatural. Keep sowing. Keep praying. Keep showing up. Heaven records every act of obedience, even the ones that feel invisible to others. Nothing is lost. Every tear, every sacrifice, every surrender, I've seen it all, and it's building toward something more beautiful than you expected. This is not the moment to fade. This is the moment to lean in. What I'm about to release will require your strength, it will require your position. And you are almost there. Just a little longer. Just a little more faith. Just a little more endurance. Stay with me, child. I'm not finished. I'm just getting started. You don't have to run away to lose your way. It only takes a gradual loosening, a slow fade, a silent shift in focus. That's how drifting begins, not with loud rebellion, but with quiet neglect. A missed moment in my presence. A postponed prayer. A growing comfort in distance that once would have made your spirit tremble. I see it happening not with rage, but with heartbreak, because I know where that drift leads. I see how gently it pulls you off course, how easily it deceives you into thinking you're still close when your heart is far. That's why I'm speaking now, not to scold you, but to alert you. Not to shame you, but to save you from where this path ends. You didn't notice at first. The changes felt small. A little compromise here. A delayed obedience there. But over time, it's dulled your sensitivity. Things that once pierced your spirit now barely touch you. Your hunger has been numbed by distraction. Your conviction softened by convenience. What once grieved you now goes unnoticed. And you wonder why your clarity has vanished. Why peace feels distant. Why joy slips through your hands. It's because the anchor of your focus has been slowly lifted, and now you're drifting, and drift always leads away from destiny, never toward it. I don't say this to bring fear, but urgency. I'm not angry that you drifted. I'm reaching for you because I don't want you to stay here. You were not made to float through life disconnected from direction. You were designed to live with sharp awareness of my voice, steady confidence in my nearness, and powerful rhythm in my grace. And all of that starts with returning, not someday, not eventually, but now. Every moment you continue adrift adds more distance to the rescue I'm trying to perform in your heart. Drifting rarely announces itself. It disguises as busyness, as tiredness, as just getting through the day. But underneath, it's the slow erosion of intentionality. It's the subtle neglect of presence. And it must be confronted. I'm calling you back to the place where fire lived in your spirit. Back to the place where obedience wasn't a burden, but a joy. Where your heart beat with holy expectation, and your thoughts were anchored in truth. That place is not far. It's one surrender away. But you must want it. You must recognize what drifting has cost you, and choose to let me reset the course. Return to consistency. Rebuild the altar of communion. Come back to the table I set for you each morning. You don't need to make it dramatic, just honest. I will meet you in your weariness. I will restore what drift stole. But you must turn before the current carries you further. Drift doesn't stay slow forever, it accelerates. What feels manageable now can become destructive later. And I won't let you get swept away while I'm still offering you my hand. Don't wait for the collapse. Don't wait until consequences wake you up. Respond now. Let this be your moment of redirection. You still have time. You still have access. I'm still speaking. The door is not closed. But it must be your choice to return to the clarity I've already offered. Don't let another day go by with your soul on autopilot. Wake up your spirit. Refocus your attention. And come home. This is your lifeline. Not in fear but in love. Not in force but in freedom. You don't have to drift another inch. You don't have to keep moving without direction. I'm right here, waiting not with anger, but with open arms. I never stopped watching. I never stopped hoping. And I am ready to lead you again, if you will just let me. I've noticed how your prayers have grown quiet. Not in reverence but in retreat. You used to come to me with openness, with conversation that spilled from your soul, with moments that felt alive and sacred. But now, the words are fewer. Sometimes they don't come at all. You whisper things under your breath and wonder if I hear. You hold back what's really going on because you think I already know, so why say it? But I miss your voice. Not because I need information, but because I long for intimacy. I long to hear the sound of your surrender, the truth in your sighs, the unpolished honesty that pours out when your guard drops. You haven't failed me. I'm just calling you back into deeper communion. When you stopped praying the way you used to, it wasn't a conscious decision. It happened quietly. Disappointment dulled your passion. Fatigue muted your spirit. You didn't walk away, you faded. And the silence grew wider. You filled the gap with action, with busyness, with effort. But I've always wanted your heart more than your work. I've always prioritized connection over contribution. I don't want eloquent words. I want access. I want you, not just your needs, but your thoughts, your doubts, your wonderings, even your anger. I can handle your silence, but I'd rather meet you in it and bring your voice back to life. You've believed the lie that unless you feel something, your prayers don't matter. But I don't wait for emotion to draw near. I respond to humility. I draw close to honesty. Even when you have no words, your presence still speaks. Your stillness still moves me. And when your heart finally breaks through the silence, not with rehearsed phrases, but with raw truth, I listen. Not as a distant king, but as your father. I bend to hear every word. Not one whisper is missed. Not one tear is wasted. I collect all of it, your confusion, your weariness, your attempts, and I respond with mercy. I'm not angry that you've grown quiet. I know the weight that has pressed on you. I know how you've questioned what difference it makes. But I want you to know, every time you've chosen to whisper my name even in doubt, heaven heard it. Every time you sat in the stillness, too overwhelmed to speak, I was there, closer than breath, waiting for your heart to turn. And I'm still here, still speaking, still hoping you'll return to the rhythm we once shared. Prayer was never meant to be a duty. It was meant to be the lifeline between your soul and my heart. You don't have to come back with fire. Come back with honesty. You don't need to be inspired. Just be present. Let me teach you to pray again, not with performance, but with presence. Let your words stumble if they must. Let them be clumsy, incomplete, scattered. I will meet you in them. I'll take even the smallest attempt and breathe on it. I'll restore your ability to speak with me, not from habit, but from hunger. You'll find that the words were never what mattered most. It was the exchange, the encounter, the yielding. I want to speak to you now. I've been waiting, not to correct you, but to comfort you. I have things to reveal, things that can only be understood through communion. You've sought answers elsewhere, but the clarity you need is locked inside the moments we've yet to have together. I have not moved away. I have not withdrawn. But I will not force conversation. I simply open my arms and wait for your return. When you speak again, even quietly, even briefly, the connection will rush back, not because it was broken, but because it was buried. And I will restore it. So speak again, even if your voice shakes, even if your heart feels numb, even if all you can say is, "I'm still here." That is enough. I'll do the rest. I've been ready. Now I just need you to come close. Here's more unfolding than you can see right now. You've assumed that because things have gone silent, they've stopped. But I tell you, not everything that's quiet is dead. Some things grow best beneath the surface, where no eyes can interfere and no hands can disrupt. You've grieved something that hasn't finished. You've mourned a chapter I haven't closed. You've labeled it complete, when I was only pausing it for divine timing. Just because your prayers haven't produced visible change doesn't mean they've been forgotten. What I start, I finish, but I finish it on my terms, not on your timeline. I've heard every request, every hope, every word you thought faded into the air unanswered. But I don't lose track of anything that's surrendered to me. Even now, things are aligning behind the veil, people, resources, timing, decisions all moving into place like pieces in a divine puzzle. If I showed you the full picture too early, you'd run toward it in your own strength. That's why I've kept some things hidden. It's not a denial, it's a delay for protection. I don't want your faith built on speed. I want it built on substance. And right now, I'm testing what you truly believe. Will you trust that I'm working when it looks like nothing is moving? You've been tempted to walk away from it. You've begun to make peace with letting go. But I need you to stay in position, not because I need you to do more, but because your presence in the right posture ensures that when the door opens again, you won't miss it. Guidance requires proximity. I cannot direct what's distant. My instructions are often soft, not because I'm unclear, but because they're meant to be heard in closeness. If you wander too far in your mind, if you retreat into doubt or distraction, you'll misread what I'm trying to unfold. The place you've been tempted to leave is still the place I've chosen to move. Don't rush what required maturity. Don't abort what I'm still nurturing. I know the outcome. I see the harvest coming into fullness. But I need you steady in the waiting. This is the space where trust deepens and roots grow. This is the ground where clarity takes shape. It may not be dramatic, but it is sacred. What you cultivate here, in faith, will be the foundation that sustains you later when the answers arrive. Too many walk away too early and spend years trying to return to a place they were never meant to leave. Don't let that be your story. Stay with me now, and you won't have to circle back. You keep asking me if it's time to release it, time to move on, time to start over, but the truth is, I never told you to leave. I never said it was done. That was fear speaking. That was fatigue whispering through unmet expectations. But I am not finished yet. And what I begin, I complete. You may not feel hopeful, but I didn't ask for your feelings. I asked for your faith. Even the size of a mustard seed will do. I just need you present. Still willing. Still open. Still listening. Because what I'm about to revive may look different than what you imagined, but it will carry exactly what I promised. Let me be the one who decides what's finished. Let me decide when to close doors and when to reopen them. You don't have to figure that out. You don't have to make sense of the in-between. You only have to stay close enough to hear me when I say, now. And until I say that, trust that the silence is not abandonment, it is incubation. I am growing something in secret, and you are closer to the release than you've ever been. Just don't move from where I placed you. Stay here. The story isn't over. You'll see. You've been wondering why everything feels more intense, why simple tasks drain you more than they used to, why your emotions swing like a door left open in a storm. It's not because you're falling apart, it's because you're carrying more than ever before. What you're holding isn't visible to others. They see your smile, your stillness, your effort, but they don't see the burden beneath, the weight pressing against your soul as you continue to believe even when nothing is changing. I do. I see it all. I feel the ache in your bones, the silent cries you've buried beneath responsibility, the hidden battles you fight in silence so others don't have to worry. You're not weak. You're not failing. You're carrying a mantle. The reason it feels heavy is because it is. You're not just surviving your own life, you're standing in the gap for others. You've been interceding, without even knowing it, for people who have no one else to pray for them. You've been lifting prayers not only for yourself, but for generations that will follow you. You're birthing things in the spirit that require your endurance now so they can live later. That kind of purpose doesn't come lightly. It doesn't move without pressure. And the weight you feel is not your punishment, it's your preparation. Don't misinterpret your exhaustion. It doesn't mean you're off track. It means you're pushing through a threshold that most never reach. This isn't burnout. This is spiritual stretching. You've reached the edge of what your old strength could carry, and now you're being invited into my strength, which never runs dry. This is where I take over. This is where my grace becomes more than a phrase, it becomes your breath. I'm not asking you to fake joy. I'm inviting you to find me in the stillness where I restore your soul. I don't want you to carry this by willpower. I want you to carry it by surrender. The heaviness isn't going to break you, it's going to break open what's inside you. There are deeper levels of peace you've never tasted, stronger measures of faith you've never touched, fiercer clarity waiting for you once you push past the fog. But you must not run away from the discomfort. You must not interpret pain as a signal to quit. It's a sign you're approaching something sacred. The enemy wants to convince you that heaviness means failure, but I'm telling you it's evidence of calling. You've been chosen for this weight not because you're the strongest, but because you're willing. And because you're willing, I will sustain you. Even when you feel numb, I'm holding you. Even when your prayers feel flat, I'm listening. Even when you collapse into bed with nothing left to give, I'm watching over you. Your weakness is not a surprise to me, it's part of the plan. Because through that weakness, my power flows freely. When you reach the end of yourself, you finally create room for me to do what only I can do. That's when breakthroughs come. That's when the atmosphere shifts. That's when miracles begin to move, when human effort runs out and divine power rushes in. You're not far. You're not failing. You're not forgotten. You are favored. That's why the pressure has been so intense. The enemy wouldn't target you if you weren't carrying something valuable. The resistance is not random, it's confirmation. You're pregnant with promise. The contractions of hardship are signaling that birth is near. Do not grow bitter in the burden. Do not curse the weight. It is shaping you, training you, making you into someone who can be trusted with what you've asked for. I'm not just preparing the blessing for you, I'm preparing you for the blessing. Let me help you lift it. Let me carry the part that's crushing your heart. Don't hide the pain from me. Let me into that ache. Let me breathe on the part that feels too heavy to explain. I will never turn away from your burden. I will never step back from your brokenness. Come to me again, not with strength but with truth. I am near, even now, and I will carry you through this. Every moment of your day is being pulled in a dozen directions. Notifications, distractions, voices, pressures, they all compete to shape your focus, to hijack your thoughts, to drain your spirit before you even realize what's happened. And while some of these seem harmless or routine, I need you to see this clearly. There is a battle behind the noise. You think you're just tired. You think you're just busy. But underneath it, your purpose is being robbed one small distraction at a time. You don't even have to fall into sin for your calling to be lost. All it takes is your attention drifting from me and anchoring in everything else. The enemy doesn't need to destroy you outright, he just needs to make sure you're constantly preoccupied. He wants your soul to be filled with static so you can't hear my whisper. He'll flood your schedule with urgent things that are not important, so you abandon the essential things that are eternal. He'll exhaust you with striving, so you lose your sensitivity to my spirit. And once your focus is fractured, once your mind is divided and your heart is scattered, you'll begin to wonder why you feel far from me, why peace doesn't last, why clarity seems gone. But the truth is, it all started when you let your gaze shift. I'm not saying this to shame you, I'm saying it to wake you up. This is an emergency. You cannot afford to live distracted. You cannot build a life that keeps me in the margins and expect to walk in power. What you give your attention to will eventually direct your life. If you continue giving the best of yourself to everything but me, you'll slowly become someone you never intended to be. I've seen it happen. Potential buried, passion numbed, purpose delayed, not because of rebellion but because of a slow loss of focus. And I won't let that be your end. That's why I'm speaking now. Come back to discipline. Come back to devotion. Cut off what doesn't feed your spirit. Make space for stillness again. Put away the noise that pollutes your hearing. Turn down the volume of the world so you can hear what I'm saying. I still have things to reveal, but they require your attention. I still have doors to open, but you must be positioned in my presence. I still have healing for your mind, but you must stop feeding it with distractions that stir anxiety. This isn't about rules. This is about your survival. Your soul was not created to carry the overload you've been managing. You're on the verge of overflow, but the wrong kind. I want to fill you, not have you fall apart. You ask why you're weary. You ask why your fire feels small. But you won't find the answer in more doing. You'll only find it when you slow down enough to really see me again. When your heart remembers how to be quiet. When your eyes turn back to the one who holds it all. That's where power returns. That's where peace rushes in. That's where strength becomes more than emotional, it becomes spiritual. I'm not just calling you to focus on me as a habit. I'm calling you to fix your gaze on me because I'm your lifeline. I'm the only one who can anchor you in this storm of endless distraction. Don't wait until the noise gets louder. Don't wait until it costs you something you love. Redirect now. This is your warning. Your attention is sacred. Your gaze is holy ground. Guard it with intensity. Prioritize it with fierce devotion. I am still here, waiting for your full attention, not for my sake, but for yours. Because if the enemy can't have your soul, he'll try to drain your focus. But if you give me your gaze, I will give you back your strength. You'll walk with clarity again. You'll feel my nearness again. And you will rise not by doing more, but by seeing me clearly again. You've been measuring yourself by impossible standards, thinking you have to reach some imaginary level of perfection before I can use you. You believe that unless you've sorted out every flaw, fixed every weakness, and silenced every fear, you're not ready to move forward. But I never asked you for polish. I asked for permission. You keep delaying obedience because you're trying to burn worthiness first. But I already chose you knowing every struggle you'd face. I already called you with full awareness of your limitations. What you call disqualifying, I call usable. I don't use those who look impressive, I use those who say yes, even when they feel unqualified. There's something rising that will require your participation. I'm not giving you all the details yet, because if I did, you'd try to control it. But I'm telling you this now because when the door opens, you'll be tempted to shrink back, thinking, I'm not ready. You'll hesitate, replaying your flaws, thinking you need more time. But I'm telling you in advance, the assignment won't wait for your perfection. It's coming for your availability. You don't need to feel strong. You don't need to feel holy. You just need to be willing. It's all I've ever required. This is bigger than comfort. This is bigger than feeling qualified. You've been prepared in ways you didn't even notice. The pain you endured, the mistakes you learned from, the humility you gained, all of it has shaped you to carry what's coming. You're not behind. You're not late. You're right where I need you to be. And when I say move, it won't be about your resume, it will be about your surrender. I'll use your obedience more than I'll ever use your image. If you keep waiting until you feel good enough, you'll miss what I want to do through you now. The pressure to be flawless didn't come from me. I never told you that you needed to clean yourself up before coming closer. That's not how I work. I transform as you walk with me, not before. You're being tricked into paralysis by a lie that says you must first arrive before I can walk with you. But the truth is I meet you in motion. When you start, even trembling, even unsure, my strength enters. My spirit fills in every gap. You don't need to be full of yourself. You need to be emptied enough to make room for me. Some people will look more confident, but they lack the oil of surrender. Others will seem louder, but they've never been crushed in the secret place like you have. You've walked through fire and still chosen me. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not recruiting the polished, I'm gathering the willing. This isn't a spotlight assignment. It's a sacred one, and you've been entrusted with a portion of it. That's why the urgency is rising. That's why your heart is stirring, even though you can't explain it. I'm drawing you in closer because your next step will be different than anything you've done before. You will never feel entirely ready, and that's okay. You're not called because of your strength, you're chosen because of your surrender. When you say yes to me, heaven backs you. When you obey without having all the answers, I release provision. You don't walk alone into the unknown, I go before you. I prepare hearts. I soften resistance. I open what man says is closed. But I need your yes. I won't force it. I won't push you. But I will whisper, again and again, this is your moment. Come with me. And if you respond, the shift will begin. So don't delay by analyzing your worth. Don't postpone obedience trying to tidy up your life. Bring me what you have. Let me multiply your willingness. Let me breathe on your broken places and turn them into testimony. You're not being asked to impress. You're being invited to partner. And that, my child, is all I've ever needed to begin something eternal. You've been looking at the clock, watching days pass, feeling like your chance is slipping through your fingers. You see others advancing, doors opening for them, and you wonder if you've missed something crucial, if perhaps you delayed too long, waited too late, or made one misstep too many. But I need you to hear me with your spirit, not your fear. Time is not your enemy. Time is under my authority. I don't operate by your calendar. I don't bless according to deadlines. I redeem what was lost, I accelerate what was delayed, and I resurrect what looked completely gone. What you think is a countdown to disappointment is actually a countdown to divine incorruption. You are not behind. You are not late. And you are certainly not forgotten. Every moment that has passed has not been wasted, it's been woven. You've been learning things you didn't even know you'd need. You've gained insight in the dark that will guide others in their light. You've walked through delay not because I abandoned you, but because I was strengthening the foundation beneath what I'm about to build. You only see the pause, but I see the preparation. If I rushed what you prayed for before your character was ready, it would collapse under pressure. But because I love you too much to give you something too early, I withheld it until the time served you, until it worked for you, not against you. Stop letting the calendar dictate your confidence. Stop letting birthdays, deadlines, or timelines convince you that you failed. The truth is, I've been shielding you from stepping into something prematurely. What felt like delay was actually divine shielding. You thought I was silent, but I was constructing. You thought I was still, but I was shaping what you could not yet carry. And now, you are standing at the brink of a moment that was written before you were even born, a moment that could not have come a minute sooner or later than what I've ordained. Don't be fooled by how long it's taken. Don't be discouraged by how quiet it's been. There's something called Kairos, my perfect time. Not just any time. Appointed time. Sacred time. That's what you're walking into. But to step into it, your focus must shift from what's past to what's present. You must stop mourning what did happen in your expected window and start preparing for what is arriving in my eternal one. Time does not have power over me. I hold it. I bend it. I redeem it. And I am doing that for you right now if you'll believe again, if you'll look up instead of looking back. You are not being punished for lost years. You are being positioned for fulfilled promises. I am the God who restores the years the locusts ate. I am the redeemer of dreams you thought had expired. I don't discard the plans I spoke over you just because you wondered or doubted. My word over your life does not return void. It accomplishes exactly what I sent it out to do. So even if you feel like you've wasted too much time, I tell you, nothing is too far gone for me. When I move, what should have taken decades can happen in days. This is why I've been urging you to focus. Not because you're being punished, but because your moment is drawing close. The opening is narrow, and it requires clear eyes and a steady heart. Your breakthrough is not tied to hustle, it's tied to obedience. You won't earn this. You will step into it. And the only thing I need from you is alignment. Not anxiety. Not perfection. Just readiness. Just trust. Time will submit to my voice, but your attention must respond to mine. Don't miss what I'm activating because you're still grieving what's behind you. I'm doing something now. Look with eyes of faith. I will make up for what was lost. I will restore what was delayed. I will redeem every second that felt wasted. But I need you focused. The clock is not counting you out, it's counting down to something divine. Trust me. Time is not slipping. It's setting up something beautiful. And it's happening sooner than you think. There is no neutral ground anymore. Everything you allow into your mind is either planting peace or breeding unrest. The images you look at, the voices you listen to, the words you entertain, they are forming the atmosphere of your soul. And I need you to understand how serious this is, because the enemy isn't just attacking through obvious evil. He's entering subtly, disguising anxiety as entertainment, slipping confusion into conversations, masking fear in casual words. Every open gate matters right now. This isn't the time to be passive with what you consume. This is the hour to protect your inner world like it's sacred ground, because it is. You keep wondering why your thoughts spiral, why your rest feels thin, why your sense of peace flickers out too quickly. But you haven't connected the noise to the breakdown. You haven't seen how the distractions are dulling your spirit. Every time you open your mind to something that opposes what I've said, you create space for distortion. And distortion always leads to disorientation. Suddenly, what was clear becomes cloudy. What was strong becomes shaky. Not because you've sinned, but because you've given your gaze to what drains instead of what revives. And the more you do it, the more you normalize chaos. What I didn't design you to live in mental storms. I didn't shape you for internal disorder. You were created for communion, for clarity, for stillness that flows from knowing me deeply. But that can't happen if you keep entertaining what pulls you away. The world is loud. Its message is constant. Its urgency is false. And it will always promise fulfillment while stealing your stillness. You must decide, moment by moment, what voice will dominate your soul. Because whichever one you give repeated attention to will become your compass, either leading you into peace or dragging you into exhaustion. I am not speaking this to you as correction, I am sounding the alarm. This is urgent. Your thoughts are not just private battles. They are spiritual territory. And if you don't set a guard, the enemy will keep walking in like he owns it. But you were given authority. You don't have to accept every thought. You don't have to host every emotion. You can choose what stays and what leaves. You can say no to the narrative of fear. You can reject the script of hopelessness. You can silence every inner critic that was never me. But it starts with focus. It starts with deciding who gets access to your mind. What you allow through the gate of your focus is forming the future of your peace. So ask yourself, what has your attention been feeding? What have you been looking at when no one else is around? What have you been meditating on when you're alone? You don't have to hide your answers from me. I already know. I'm not condemning you. I'm calling you back. Because you can't walk in the power I promised while drinking in the poison of distraction. You can't experience lasting peace if your gaze is divided 100 ways. The mind governed by the Spirit is life and peace, but it requires choice. Let me lead you back to clarity. Let me show you how to reset your inner world. It won't be loud. It won't be flashy. It will be simple but sacred. Start cutting off what leaves you anxious. Limit what leaves you numb. Fast from the noise that keeps you confused. Create space in your day where nothing speaks but my voice. Make a habit of quiet before me. Not to perform, but to be purified. In that quiet, I will pour in what the chaos was blocking. In that silence, you will finally hear what I've been saying all along. You're not helpless. You're not stuck. You have power over your focus. And today, I'm reminding you of that power, not so you feel burdened, but so you feel equipped. You can guard your peace. You can reclaim your clarity. You can shut the door to every voice that doesn't carry my spirit. I'm not asking for perfection, I'm asking for attention. Because where your focus goes, your faith flows. And where your faith flows, my presence builds. So choose carefully, child. This is not just about peace, it's about preparation. What I'm doing next requires your full attention. And I'm ready when you are. You've asked me again and again, Lord, show me what to do, as if my direction was hidden behind mystery. But what if I told you that I already whispered the answer? What if I've been confirming it over and over through nudges, through stillness, through the restlessness in your spirit when you try to ignore it? You're not confused, child. You're cautious. And there's a difference. You know where your heart is being pulled. You feel the weight of what I've placed in front of you. The delay isn't about not knowing, it's about wrestling with the risk. And I understand that. But you need to know. Every moment you postpone obedience, you stretch the gap between your prayers and their fulfillment. You keep waiting for a louder voice, for a supernatural display, for someone else to confirm what I've already placed inside of you. But my sheep know my voice. You heard me. You felt the stirring. And now you're standing at the edge of decision, not because you lack answers, but because you fear the cost. And I get it. Obedience always costs. It requires surrender. It requires release. It demands that you step into the unknown before the outcome is guaranteed. But it's in that first step that my provision starts moving. If you keep hesitating, you'll miss what was prepared for now. This is why I'm being urgent with you. The opportunity you're facing won't stay open forever. It's a door, not a monument. It will swing but not stand still. And if you spend too much time analyzing every angle, you'll find it closed while you were still calculating. I'm not asking you to walk recklessly, I'm asking you to walk boldly. There's a difference. Reckless ignores my voice. Boldness responds to it. And I'm calling you to respond, not later, not after one more confirmation, but now. There's a window of alignment in front of you, and I've cleared the path enough for the first move. If you take it, you'll see the next step. But if you wait for every detail to be revealed before moving, you'll never begin. This hesitation isn't about external obstacles, it's internal. It's the fear of failing, the fear of being wrong, the fear of others not understanding. But faith was never about certainty, it was about trust. When Peter stepped out on the water, he didn't have a guarantee of success, he only had my word. And it was enough. But when he shifted his focus, when he looked at the waves instead of my face, he began to sink. Not because the command changed you, but because his focus did. That's what I'm protecting you from now, not the storm, but the distraction. You're capable of walking where others sink if you keep your eyes locked on me. Let's be honest, you're not waiting for clarity. You're stalling because the next step feels scary. But courage doesn't mean you don't feel fear. It means you move forward while trusting that I will meet you on the path. I don't anoint your plans while you sit idle. I pour oil on motion. I breathe on steps. I strengthen the hands that rise, not the ones that remain folded in worry. And right now, I'm reaching out to yours, saying, let's go. I've got you. The weight you're feeling isn't confusion. It's conviction. And it's not meant to crush you, it's meant to move you. You prayed for a shift. You cried out for change. Is it? Not wrapped in fireworks, not dressed in grand displays, but packaged in a whisper that won't leave you alone. That persistent sense that you're meant for more. That's me. That gentle pressure to move, even though you can't explain why. That's me. And the fear that rises every time you consider saying yes. That's proof the enemy knows what's at stake. If this next step were meaningless, he wouldn't be fighting you this hard. But because it's loaded with purpose, he's been filling your mind with every reason to delay. Don't listen. Don't stall. Move. This isn't about rushing, it's about responding. You've waited long enough. The time is now. And I'm already in what's next, waiting for your faith to match my invitation. You won't regret trusting me, but you may regret waiting too long to start. Choose movement. Choose obedience. I'll meet you in the middle. You've been asking me why you feel so stretched, why every moment feels heavier, why even simple decisions seem to carry such gravity, and why rest feels like a memory more than a reality. It's not because I'm punishing you. It's because I'm preparing you. There's a difference between pressure that crushes and pressure that strengthens, and what I'm applying now is intentional, not harmful. You're not being broken apart. You're being formed into someone who can carry what's coming without collapsing under its weight. The resistance you feel in this season is not rejection, it's the tension that produces endurance. Think about it. A vessel that's too weak can't hold overflowing oil. A structure that hasn't been reinforced will crack under promotion. A heart that hasn't been purified will mishandle power. So I'm not holding back blessings from you, I'm holding you steady, while I construct a deeper foundation beneath you. And foundations aren't glamorous. They're buried. They are unseen. But they hold everything together when storms come. I've allowed pressure because I'm building something you've never carried before. This next assignment, this next door, this next miracle, it requires a version of you that won't break halfway through. That's why I've been aggressing the parts of you that no one else sees. That's why I've stirred up old wounds that need healing. That's why certain relationships had to fall away, not as rejection, but as refinement. What you're facing right now is not random. It's precise. I've placed you in this furnace not to burn you, but to burn off what can't stay. Impatience, pride, insecurity, comparison, fear. These cannot follow you into the next room I'm opening. They would poison the purpose I'm about to release. So instead of fighting the pressure, let it work. Let it refine. Let it do its work until it's done. I know it feels uncomfortable. I know some days it feels like you're being torn down. But I promise you I am the one overseeing this construction. I won't let it go further than necessary. I will allow it to crush what I came to complete. There's no moment wasted in this season. Every tear, every unanswered question, every closed door is playing a part in making you ready. You prayed for destiny. You asked for impact. You cried for breakthrough. This is what it looks like in the forming stage. What you're carrying is holy, and I'm protecting it even if you don't understand how right now. The pressure is not forever. It's seasonal. But how you handle it now determines what's sustained later. If you run from it, you'll have to relearn what I was teaching. If you resist it, The lesson will delay the launch. But if you lean into me through it, if you trust my hand even when you can't trace what I'm doing, you'll come out stronger, purer, and ready for the weight of glory that's coming. You won't just survive, you will be stable. You won't just get through, you will grow. This isn't just a hard moment. It's a holy one. Don't curse it. Don't waste it. Let it complete its purpose. I'm not trying to wear you out. I'm trying to anchor you. I'm not ignoring your cries, I'm equipping your character. And when this part is done, you'll look back and see that the parts you hated were the very parts that held you together when the blessing came. So take heart. I'm in this process with you. I haven't stepped back. I've stepped in. I've rolled up my sleeves and put my hand on every area that feels too much. Because you're not fragile, you're becoming fortified. I'm giving you spiritual muscle. I'm giving you emotional roots. I'm giving you maturity to match your calling. So don't give up now. Don't misinterpret the pressure. It's not a sign you failed, it's a sign you're being transformed. And what's forming in this season will outlast every fear, every attack, and every limitation that once held you back. Hold still in my hands. The shaping is almost complete. And when it is, what once felt like weight will feel like wings. What you think is exhaustion from doing too much is often the quiet leak of strength through unnoticed distractions. You wonder why your soul feels depleted even when your schedule isn't overloaded, and it's because your attention has been scattered by things that disguise themselves as harmless. A drained heart doesn't always come from obvious attacks, it comes from slow erosion, moment by moment, compromise by compromise, thought by thought. I'm showing you now that you've been fighting battles I never asked you to enter. You've been responding to voices I never told you to entertain. You've been absorbing tension from places I never led you to. And that's why your inner world has felt so heavy. This is the emergency. I'm trying to rescue you from not just outer noise, but inner noise that has silenced my voice inside of you. You've allowed spiritual leaks to continue unchecked because they don't look dangerous. They look normal. They come wrapped in subtlety, scrolling through comparison, reacting to negativity, chasing approval, replaying what someone said last week, doubting what I already confirmed. None of these are violent attacks. But together, they've become a slow spiritual hemorrhage. That's why you felt numb. That's why you felt like your prayers have lost their edge. Not because you stopped believing, but because your belief got buried beneath the noise. So now, I'm stepping in with a firm but gentle warning. You cannot move forward with power if your focus is still being siphoned by what I never planted. The blessing I have for you doesn't just need space, it needs your undivided heart. The promise is real, but it's weighty. It requires clarity. It demands full awareness. And if your mind is still tangled in what's not feeding your spirit, you'll struggle to carry what I'm releasing. This isn't just about pruning your time, it's about protecting your strength. You don't realize how much power you lose every time you rehearse fears I already defeated or chase validation I never assigned. That's why I'm stirring conviction in you. Not to shame you, but to free you. You've asked for restoration, and this is how it begins, with a clearing out, a refocusing, a stripping away of what you thought you needed but actually just distracted you from me. You survived in scattered pieces for long enough. Now it's time to come back to center. To pause long enough to examine what's stealing your focus. Because my glory flows through clean vessels. And purity doesn't just mean avoiding evil, it means being fully mine, without division. That's where your power lives. That's where miracles break out. That's where authority awakens. You want to feel alive again in your spirit. Then stop feeding what dulls your discernment. Stop giving room to what never multiplies joy or peace. Cut ties with what drains you, even if it looks harmless. You don't need to explain it to anyone else. What I'm pruning in you is sacred. Some things don't need to be justified, they just need to be released. And when you finally let go, you'll feel the shift. The cloud will lift. The fire will return. Your spirit won't feel sluggish anymore, because the subtle drains will be sealed. And my spirit will flood in again, fresh and full, like living water to dry bones. This is urgent, child. Not because I'm angry, but because you've lived beneath your capacity for too long. And I love you too much to let you keep running on low. I've seen the fire in you flicker, and I refuse to let it die out. That's why I've been calling you to silence, to reflection, to step back from noise. Not to punish you, but to preserve what I'm about to ignite. Your strength is not gone, it's just buried under debris. And today, I'm brushing it off. I'm clearing the path. I'm calling your power back to the surface. You will rise again with clarity. You will walk again with boldness. You will speak again with fire. But first, you must separate from what secretly stole from you. I'm giving you the grace to walk away, not out of fear, but out of alignment. And when you do, your strength will return, not in part, but in full. I will not let you walk weak into what I destine you to do strong. This is the turning point, don't delay it. Refocus. Reclaim. Reignite. There are places you return to in your heart not because they bring life, but because they feel familiar. You gravitate towards certain routines, relationships, and coping mechanisms because at one point, they helped you survive. But you are not called to survive anymore, you are called to soar. And this transition requires an honest look at what you've normalized that no longer belongs in your future. You've been sensing that something feels off. You felt the tension when you try to go forward, only to feel invisible tethers pulling you backward. And that's not accidental. It's because I'm pulling the veil off the things you've outgrown. You may not see them as chains because they don't look destructive. They may come wrapped in shared history, in long-standing loyalty, in the comfort of how it's always been. But I am not in patterns that demand your loyalty while denying your growth. I am not in any environment, physical, emotional, or spiritual, that asks you to shrink in order to keep the peace. And I am not calling you to stay in cycles that feed your old self at the expense of your new assignment. The future I've prepared for you requires room to breathe, space to stretch, and the courage to release what no longer reflects who you are becoming. I know it's difficult. Letting go rarely feels easy. It comes with grief, with questions, with memories. You wonder if it's betrayal to walk away from what once helped you heal. But what healed you in one season can become a hindrance in the next if you try to make it permanent. I never asked you to stay attached to anything longer than I've anointed it to serve you. And some connections were only meant to be temporary shelters, not permanent homes. You've mistaken familiar for fruitful. You've allowed what's predictable to replace what's powerful. And now I'm inviting you to trade safety for strength. This is the emergency. You're standing at the edge of something new, but your hands are still full of what was. And if you're not careful, you'll carry old debris into a fresh season and wonder why it still feels heavy. I'm asking you now to do something bold to loosen your grip. Not out of bitterness, not out of fear, but out of obedience. I want to lead you without resistance. I want to bring you into places where your voice no longer has to be muted, where your calling isn't questioned, where your spirit doesn't feel suffocated. With that door would open until your hands are open to. It won't make sense to everyone. Some won't understand why you're shifting, why your yes looks different, why your availability has changed. But this part isn't for everyone to approve, it's for me to direct. And I am redirecting you. I am setting you apart not to isolate you, but to insulate you from what drains your fire. You've stayed too long in conversations that left you confused. You've invested too much energy trying to explain your growth to people who never asked me where I'm taking you. And now, I'm calling you into clarity, into alignment, into freedom. Let go of what keeps you explaining yourself instead of expanding. Release what asks you to lower your voice instead of raise your standards. Say goodbye to what applauds your comfort but doesn't celebrate your calling. I know it's hard, but you won't lose what's meant for your destiny. Anything you have to force to stay isn't carrying my favor. And anything truly rooted in me will grow with you, not resent your rise. Trust me with the release. I'm not just taking something away, I'm making space for what's been waiting to enter. You've prayed for peace. This is how it begins. You've begged for clarity. This is how it arrives. You've cried out for purpose. This is how it becomes visible, by removing the haze of old dependencies. To breathe deeply. The grief will pass. The loneliness will last. What I have for you will not require you to diminish your fire to fit in. The moment you let go is the moment I start to fill the space. You will not walk empty. You will walk free. And when you do, the path ahead will no longer be foggy. It will shine. Because freedom always brings light. You haven't ignored me out of rebellion. I see your heart. I know how much you long to follow me. But hesitation has crept in, wrapped in logic, masked as waiting for the right time, when in truth, it's fear whispering that the unknown is too risky. You've been overthinking what I already made clear. You've replayed every possibility, measured every outcome, and in the process you've missed the simplicity of my instruction. What I asked of you didn't require perfection. It only required motion. And motion hath been paused by fear that looks like responsibility, by concern that pretends to be caution. But I need to uncover this now, because this hesitation has cost you peace. You felt stuck not because you lack clarity, but because you've trusted your worry more than my whisper. The enemy isn't always loud. Sometimes, he sneaks in through sensible voices that talk you out of trusting mine. You've told yourself you're just being careful. But what if carefulness is actually the cover for disbelief? What if your delay is not waiting on me, but stalling from me? I'm not calling you out to shame you, I'm calling you up to set you free. Because this pattern of postponing obedience is costing you strength. I want you to see this. Every time you hesitate after hearing me clearly, you weaken your sensitivity to my voice. It's not that I stop speaking. It's that your confidence in what you heard fades beneath the noise of second guessing. You weren't meant to analyze your calling to death, you were meant to move by faith. I never required that you understand every detail. I only asked for your trust. You want to know what comes after the next step. But I'm only giving you what's necessary for the step in front of you. If I showed you the entire path, you'd never learn to lean. This is why I'm speaking again now. Because it's urgent. Not because the opportunity is slipping away, but because your soul is. The longer you stay in indecision, the more distant you feel from me. Not because I've moved, but because overthinking creates emotional distance. And I miss your nearness. I miss the way you used to act on my word quickly, before doubt crept in. You didn't need all the answers then, you just needed me. And I haven't changed. The one who called you before is still the same. But now, I'm calling you again, this time with more weight, more urgency, more clarity. You've prayed for breakthrough, but the door won't swing open until you take the step I already placed in front of you. I won't drag you through it. I'm not forcing my will, I'm inviting you into it. You must decide if you're willing to walk forward while it still looks risky. That's how faith is built. That's where obedience becomes worship. You don't obey me because you see the whole picture. You obey me because you trust my character. And my character is faithful. Always. Even when nothing makes sense yet. You keep asking for confirmation. But what if the confirmation is your peace after obedience, not before it? Some things you will never feel ready for. That's why I ask for surrender, not certainty. That's why I give grace for action, not just for waiting. I'm not telling you to be reckless. I'm telling you to be bold. There's a difference. Boldness doesn't ignore wisdom, it listens to my voice above every other. And my voice is calling you now. Again. Not because you failed, but because I'm not done. Not because you missed it, but because I'm still holding the next door open. Don't let fear disguised as caution steal another day of your purpose. Don't delay obedience one more moment. I am with you in the unknown. I am standing in the place I've called you to. And I promise, what feels risky from your view is fully secure from mine. I will not let your foot slip. I will not let you fall. But I cannot make the step for you. That's yours. The blessing is on the other side of it. The clarity is waiting past your hesitation. And the growth you've been praying for starts when you stop stalling. You are more ready than you think. You are more supported than you know. And I have already gone ahead to prepare the place. Now go before comfort convinces you to settle for less than what I died to give you. Amen.